Welcome to the Northwest Sports Fanatics YouTube channel. I am your host, Orion. Got a great show for you here today with the Seattle Mariners versus the Houston Astros. First pitch is going to be here in roughly 5 minutes, so let's cue up the music, take a look at the thumb, and let's get into the starting lineups. Happy Thursday, everyone. And on the thumb, on the left, the best center fielder in the game, it's J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez. And on the right, one of the better second basemen in the league, it is Jose Altuve. Now let's get into the starting lineups here first for the visiting Seattle Mariners. Leading off for the Mariners at third base, it's Donnie Brendan Donovan. Batting second, playing center field, it's Julio Rodriguez. And they made a last second switch, so they're going to actually have him go to DH. So let's update that now. We haven't really seen Julio in the DH position that often, but obviously with the Cal Raleigh injury, things need to be shifted and changed just a little bit. And that means that Luke Raley will play center field. Batting third at first base, it's Nails Josh Naylor. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, left fielder Randy Orosarena. Batting fifth, playing center field, Luke Raley. Batting sixth, playing shortstop, J.P. Crawford. Batting seventh, the Italian Stallion in right field, Dominic Canzone. Batting eighth, catching today, Mitch Garver. And batting ninth, playing second base, Cole Clutch Young. And on the mound for the Mariners with a 0-4 record, ERA of 6.57, it is La Piedra Luis Castillo. And hopefully Luis will give up 3 runs or less. Magic number for us will be 5 runs and 7 to 10 hits for the offense. And if we're able to hit those numbers, we should have a good chance here this morning. And now let's get into the starting lineups for the home Houston Astros. Leading off for the Astros, the hero last night, left fielder Zach Cole. Batting second, playing second base, Jose Altuve. Batting third, DHing for the Astros, Yordan Alvarez. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, third baseman, Isank Paredes. Batting fifth, playing first base, Christian Walker. Batting sixth, playing shortstop for the Astros, Braden Shoemake. Batting seventh, playing center field, Bryce Matthews. Batting eighth, playing right field, Cam Smith. And batting ninth, catching today for the Astros, Cesar Salazar. And on the mound for the Astros with a 2-4 record, ERA of 5.04, it is Mike Burrows. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Going to be shooting for 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. And obviously, the only downside, we saw a couple different plays where, Cal started to kind of grip that right side and that right oblique, not only after, a pitch, and kind of grab that side and that oblique. And then obviously when he ended up having that play at home and ended up slipping. So they decided to just play it safe. And Cal Raleigh is going to be on the 10-day IL, which we kind of thought if he didn't get a hit, a few days ago, and he ended up getting those late, 2 hits to kind of get off the schneid. But at some point, it kind of felt like, this might be, what we need to do. And he was at least able to get a couple hits, to get off, from potentially going 0 for 40. But the 10-day IL is still something that we knew that more than likely was going to happen. And again, we have to hope that he can end up healing up. Because again, it's going to be kind of a recurring injury if he ends up coming back too early. And hopefully we'll get a healthy Cal Raleigh the rest of the way through. Jose Ferrer is back from paternity leave, and we also have Johnny Pereda as the backup to Mitch Garver, flying in on the red eye from the Tacoma Rainiers in the building as well. It's definitely going to be a tough matchup here. There's no doubt about it, especially with Castillo on the mound, usually giving up 4 to 6 runs, but at least we're not going against the lefty. So we don't have to necessarily look at a lineup where potentially we have Rob Refsnyder, Connor Joe, Mitch Garver, and maybe even Leo Rivas, and again, when you end up having a lineup of those 4 guys, sometimes they come through, but a lot of times they don't. So at least we have our strong lefty lineup with Donovan, Julio, Naylor, Randy, Rayleigh, JP, Dominic Canzone, and Cole Young. And then obviously Mitch Garver there in the 8-hole catching, filling in for Cal Raleigh. So this should give us a better chance, because when usually Castillo's on the mound and we have a lefty that we're going against and we have our righty lineup with Joe, Garver, and Refsnyder, we've been typically putting up 2 runs or less. And then Castillo's giving up 4 to 6. Can't win that way. So obviously these left-handed bats that are playing today have to go early and often. First pitch from Burrows to Brandon Donovan, low and at the knees, 1-0 count. And again, Burrows 2-4 record, ERA of 5.04 coming in, and Brandon Donovan in the box. Let's go, Donnie. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 1-0 pitch. Right down the middle, sinker, 94 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike from Burrows to Donovan. And getting off to an early lead in this game would be ideal. Hard hit ball, and that's fair. Go, baby, go. And Donnie going for 2. Go, Donnie, go. And Donnie head first and safe. Let's go. And that's exactly what we needed, baby. Nice job there by Brandon Donovan. And again, we need to get him back to where he was at the beginning of the year before the injury, where he was, hitting 300 to 350, a good chunk of that, first few games, as well as Cole Young, at the beginning of the season. Those two were kind of holding it down while we were waiting for Julio, Naylor, and Cal to get going. Nice head first slide there by Brandon Donovan, and he is safe. Nice job. Next up is Julio Rodriguez. First pitch into Julio, fouls it off himself, 0-1 count. Captain in the building, what's good? 0-1 pitch to Julio, and Julio pops it up. And you're not going to usually see Julio in the DH position. He did foul a ball off his foot, but again, it gives a chance for Luke Rayleigh to play center and get Dom out there in right field. Down goes Julio with the pop-up, and that is 1 away. Next up is first baseman. It's Nails, Josh Naylor. Let's see if Naylor can end up doing some damage like he has been for the last few games, as well as this guy right here in the 4-hole, left fielder, Randy Orosarena, who's definitely been on a heater. Trident's up. Let's go, Ems. First pitch to Naylor, pops it up and fouls it off. Out of play, 0-1 count. Slider 90 miles an hour there by Burrows. Top of the first inning, runner at second with 1 out. Brandon Donovan with a leadoff double. And hopefully we'll be able to bring him home here early in the first inning. 0-1 pitch, and there for a strike looking. No balls and 2 strikes to Josh Naylor. And it's not like Burrows is incredibly dominant, 2-4 record, ERA of 5.04. I mean, that's obviously better than Luis Castillo, but there should be a little bit of wiggle room here. 0-2 pitch, and a little bit of a lazy swing there by Naylor, gets fooled, and that is 2 away. Another nice punch out there by Burrows. Down goes Naylor. Next up is Randy Arozarena. Let's see if we can get a single, double, or a home run here out of Randy. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. First pitch to Randy. Pops it up and out of play. 0-1 count. Top of the first inning. Runner at second. Brandon Donovan with 2 outs. Burrows on the mound. Randy Arozarena in the box. Lauren in the building. What's good? 0-1 pitch. High and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike to Randy Arozarena. Yeah, the play was pretty close, with Naylor, and that definitely could have changed the outcome. Kind of looked like his foot, though, was still in the air, but it also depends on, when you call the individual out. Is it when it hits the back of the mitt, the ball, or is it when it's in the vicinity in the glove? And again, a lot of those plays are going to be pretty close. There's going to be a lot of 50-50 plays in baseball, or 55-45 plays that are really hard to be able to judge and whatnot. But again, we have to be able to put up more runs than we did last night, and at least we rallied to tie it up to 3. But again, having individuals like Bizzardo kind of blow the game for us, his last 2 opportunities. We need Brash and Spire to be, healthy. And, we assume that Bizzardo would be able to take that role as being the one while those 2 guys are gone, but he hasn't really been that good in his last 2 opportunities. He's given up, a run, obviously, in those, key clutch moments. And, that's tough. We know the, closers in the pen, as well as the bullpen itself. That position group is going to win you or lose you more games than any other position group in baseball. And it just stings when you lose that way, for sure. 2-2 pitch from Burrows to Arozarena. High and away. Good eye there by Randy. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Randy Arozarena. Good morning from Honolulu. Good morning here from the Pacific Northwest. 3-2 pitch, low and away. Good eye there by Randy. Sometimes likes to chase, on some of those curves or those, sliders that are kind of low and away. And again, as well as sweepers. And good job there by Randy, not avoiding kind of a lazy strikeout. Now we got runners at first and second with 2 outs. Let's see if we can get a run to come home. Next up, playing center field for Julio today, Luke Raley. Let's go, Luke. First pitch, low and at the knees from Mike Burrows to Luke Raley. 1-0 count. Top of the first inning, runners at first and second with 2 outs. 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Astros. Definitely is going to be tough considering how Luis Castillo has pitched this season. But, if the bats can come alive, hopefully that'll kind of counteract, maybe how, Castillo plays today. And who knows, maybe Castillo doesn't play great, but maybe good enough for us to win. And, if that's the case, then he's got to give up, 3 runs or less. If he gives up any more than that, it might be tough sledding. 1-1 pitch. Fouls it off the catcher there as it rolls towards third. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Burrows to Raley. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Come on, Luke. We could use a nuke from Luke or even an RBI. Let's go, Raley. 1-2 pitch. And Raley with a hard hit ball. Deep left field. Back. Gone! Wow. 3-run jack there by Luke Raley. And again, with Luis Castillo on the mound, this is exactly what we needed. Someone to be a hero and step up. And thankfully, we are going against a righty in Burrows, not a lefty. And, again, no disrespect to Rev Snyder, Connor Joe, and some of those other guys that get in those matchups. But Luke Raley, 368 feet. And that ends up giving us a 3-0 lead. You couldn't have scripted a better start for the Mariners. Let's go. Next up is J.P. Crawford. First pitch popped up. And that is out number 3, but not after Luke Raley hits a big 3-run bomb. And just like that, we have a nice cushion here early. Especially with the news, with Cal Raleigh going to the IL. And again, I think he was going to go to the IL no matter what, but again, he at least got the 2 hits so he could prevent himself from going for 0 for 40 and beyond. But the simple fact is, him grabbing that, right side and then having a play, where he's on his knees trying to make the, throw to first and slips. And, sometimes you just got to make sure that your players are okay. Because if Cal wouldn't have gone to the IL and continued to play with that pain, you're not going to get a lot of quality at bats. And on top of that, he's not going to be a very focused and, dominant catcher defensively. So again, it's definitely going to sting, having just Garver and Johnny Pareda. But again, hopefully we can still find ways to, kind of overcome, like Luke Raley right there. And again, Luke has been fantastic this year. If you go back to his numbers last year, his hitting was off, his timing was off, his confidence was off. He was a liability in right field, on those pop-ups and ground balls. He's improved tremendously on both ends, defensively in right field, today playing a little center for Julio. And then again, the bat has really come alive in 2026 for Luke Raley, and we're really happy that you are here. Nice job, Luke. 3-0 Mariners. Hell yeah. And now let's see who's up next here for the Astros as we go to the bottom of the first. And remember, a lot of times when we end up, getting a lead, what happens? We give it right back, to the other team, and hopefully it's not 3-3 by the time this first inning is over. But with Luis Castillo on the mound, you never know. Leading off in left field, Zach Cole, the hero last night, normally doesn't lead off, so this is a little interesting, maybe rewarding him from getting the game winner and preventing the Mariners from winning 10 in a row against the Astros. Batting second baseman Jose Altuve, and batting third is Yordan Alvarez. And obviously the biggest liability on the Mariners right now, 0-4 record, 6.57 ERA, Luis Castillo. But again, you have to assume maybe Castillo will be a little bit better today, especially looking at the scoreboard and seeing a 3-0 lead. Hopefully that will help his confidence. 1-0 pitch, takes a big swing and a miss, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Zach Cole. 1-1 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and 1 strike from Castillo to Cole, and again, going down the middle for Castillo is not ideal. Typically leads to RBIs, hits, and home runs. And then if he's trying to paint the corners, he's not very accurate with doing that. And a lot of times that will turn into balls, that turns into walks, or potentially hitting a batter. So, we'll see. It's not a really good recipe for success for a guy that can't hit the corners and then does challenge the middle of the plate and gets rocked more times than not. 3-1 pitch, hard hit ball, deep center field. Luke Raley is there, and that is 1 away. Down goes Zach Cole. A nice job there by Luke Raley with the defense. We love you. Great job there in the box with that 3-run blast as well. Trident's up. Next up, in the 2-hole, second baseman Jose Altuve. Always a thorn in our side, as well as this player. Power hitter in the 3-hole, DHing Yordan Alvarez. Yeah, obviously the player that is struggling the most, obviously Mooney is still, not really playing consistent ball either. But if we had to choose one or the other, I think we trust Mooney more than we do Castillo at this point. So normally with Castillo, it's a little bit of good and a little bit bad, right? Normally when we see Luis within the last few years, he's hovering around 500 typically. 4-4, 5-5, something like that, where we actually have a few good performances where maybe he gets 7 to 10 Ks and then obviously a few fucking meltdowns. But this year it's just been meltdown after meltdown, unfortunately. And then when he has got a chance to do something good, he usually can only hold it down for a few innings before he has that meltdown of 3 or 4 runs in a particular inning. And we haven't really given him a whole lot of run support. And a lot of the times we end up going against a left-handed pitcher when Castillo is up, which is not ideal. And so it's kind of a double whammy on that end. 1-2 pitch popped up in right field. Dominic Canzone is there, and that is 2 away. Nice to see Raley and Canzone being active in center and right field here today. And again, we'll see where it goes, and again, hopefully with a 3-0 lead, he doesn't give it right back to him quickly. And we're going to definitely need that offense to get the job done. And we're already halfway to where we need to be. 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits. We're already at 3. So you couldn't have asked for a better start. And when's the last time we put up a 3 in the first inning for Luis? Like fucking never, right? So again, he's got to feel good with this start here, especially with that heartbreaking loss from last night that we could have and maybe should have won. First pitch, low and at the knees, 1-0 count. Change up 88 miles an hour from Castillo to Alvarez. And I don't expect a lot of punch outs, maybe 4 to 7, from Castillo. Hell, it could even be less than 4. But as long as, you're not giving up the big home runs and the big RBIs, that's really the key. Two-0 pitch from Castillo to Yordan. Pitch is high and inside. 3 balls and no strikes to Yordan Alvarez. Three-0 pitch, high and away. And honestly, I don't really mind if Alvarez gets walked, by any pitcher when we face him, because he's one of those guys that, lots of RBIs, lots of home runs, and he's really locked in this season. Doesn't have an injury to start off the year. And, with guys like him and Matt Olson, Munetaka Murakami, Aaron Judge, sometimes, it's better to take the walk, rather than give up a big play. But hopefully he will not come home. Next up is Isaac Paredes. First pitch, high and away, 1-0 count. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to getting Brash back as well as Gabe Spire. And I don't know if I'm the only one, but I miss Victor Robles, regardless if he's not an everyday player. I miss that energy and that vibe, from him. And, I'm really excited to be able to see when he has a chance to come back and, play occasionally here and there, if he's in right field or if he DHs and, maybe ends up making a few diving plays, makes a few hits here and there and steals a few bags and just brings a little bit of an energy boost that I think the Mariners could always use in the dugout. Astros challenge, low and at the knees. And now the call is going to be 2 balls and no strikes instead of 1 ball and 1 strike. Astros win that challenge there. With a runner at first, Yordan Alvarez with 2 outs. 2-0 pitch, high and inside. 3 balls and no strikes to Isaac Paredes. And again, we're going to fly home, after today, and we're going to go against the Padres, which, didn't go very well for us the first time around. When we went to San Diego a few weeks ago, we got swept. And again, we definitely want some payback. We'll shoot for 2 games out of 3. And again, it could end up being only 1 out of 3, but hopefully we win here today, feed off that Uncle Mo and that momentum and win 2 out of 3 and, move forward, obviously for a good rest of the May, section of baseball this month. 3-1 pitch from Castillo, high and inside, and another walk there. Isaac Paredes. Now we got runners on first and second with back-to-back walks there from Castillo. I guess that's better than giving up back-to-back home runs, but we got to stop the bleeding here. Every time we end up getting a lead, we don't usually hang on to it for very long. Next up in the 5-hole, first baseman Christian Walker. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Castillo on the mound, Christian Walker in the box. First pitch in there for a strike down the middle to Christian Walker, 0-1 count. Bottom of the first inning, runners at first and second with 2 outs. Mariners with a 3-run lead with a big Luke Raley 3-run blast in the top of the first inning to give a little bit of cushion and insurance for Castillo. 0-1 pitch, big swing and a miss. Pitch was high and inside, tried to jam him and did. Sinker, 96 miles an hour by Castillo. And, it would be nice if we could see one good performance out of Castillo, since he really hasn't had one so far. I mean, I don't even care if he gets the win or not. Just, help us win this game. But him getting a win would be great for his confidence, for sure. If he's able to last that long, of course. 0-2 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Castillo to Walker, and it feels like half of his starts, they just kind of let him finish when he's already given up 4 to 6 runs. And then the others, where he'll end up getting pulled a little bit early, like in the 4th or the 5th. But 1-2 pitch, check swing. Did he go? And he did not. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Castillo to Walker. Bottom of the first inning, 3-0 Seattle. Luke Raley with a 3-run blast to give us this early 3-0 lead, which we feel great about, but it's not how you start, it's how you finish, and we're going to have to finish strong if we want to beat the Astros. 2-2 pitch to Walker. Check swing. Did he go? He did not. Count now is full. Pitch was low and away. 3 balls and 2 strikes. After that slider, 86 miles an hour, misses by about 3 inches. 3 balls, 2 strikes, count is full with runners at first and second and 2 outs. Don't give up the RBI or the home run. Come on, Luis. 3-2 pitch, popped him up. Here we go. And Dominic Canzone is there. And there we go. Great job. For once, when we get a big thing to happen for us, we don't give the lead right back. And good job there by Luis Castillo. We haven't said that very often in 2026. But great job there. Luke Raley giving us the 3-0 lead. And look at that. Luis Castillo not giving up 3 runs in the first inning. Good job there so far here for the Mariners. And again, we need payback from last night. Now let's see who's up next here for the Mariners as we go to the top of the second inning. Next up for the Mariners in the 7-hole, playing right field today, it's the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. Batting second in the 8-hole, catching today for Seattle, Mitch Garver. And batting third in the 9-hole, second baseman, Cole Clutch Young. And on the mound for the Astros, 2-4 record coming in with an ERA of 5.04, Mike Burrows. And I'm so happy that we're going against a righty today, not a lefty. It definitely increases our chances of winning this game tenfold. Captain with a tenner, appreciate you. Yeah, I want us to be at 500 and above 500. Absolutely. You know how we feel about this. Captain puts us at 10, 90 to go on the Dono train. Appreciate you. 48 subs to go to 24,100. We gained 3 subs since the beginning of the broadcast. Thank you so much. 45 subs to go to 24,100. Shout out to our female viewership as well as our viewership all across the globe. United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, and beyond. Appreciate you very, very much. We're approaching 6 million views on the channel as well. And we're at 34 likes, 66 to 100. Miller was great. He definitely put us in a position to, be able to win the game. The offense, didn't really come through like we needed. And then Bizzardo, blew the game again, and again, his last 2 opportunities, Bizzardo's given up a run, a home run, and, an RBI. And, it's hard to win when you got your number 1 guy in the pen blowing it for the Mariners. But again, it's a hard thing, being a professional baseball player, let alone being a guy in the bullpen that's sitting, for 2.5 to 3 hours. And then we expect him to be lights out every single time for every single player. It's kind of unrealistic, but that's what we feel as fans. We don't want to see the game getting swayed, based on someone having a meltdown. And, it happens. It's baseball. 2-1 pitch. In there for a strike. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Burrows to Canzone. Curveball, 4-seam, curveball, changeup. First 4 pitches here from Burrows to Dom. 2-2 pitch to Canzone. Low and at the knees. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Dominic Canzone. But again, they're going to run a 6-man rotation for a week or 2, and then hopefully they decide to put Castillo in the pen, and we can just run with our normal 5. Little dribbler up the middle, throw to first. Nice hustle by Canzone, but not in time, and that is 1 away. And again, for Castillo, less pressure, right? If you go to the pen, all you got to do is try to get 3 outs. If you're a starter, you're trying to get, roughly 18 outs. And again, we know Castillo can be good, for 2 or 3 innings, but usually by the 4th inning, that's usually when the meltdown starts, and sometimes continues into the 5th and the 6th. And there's been times where he's gotten rocked in the first 3 innings, and sometimes in the first inning, where we're already down 2, 3, 4 runs. So, it's one of those things. I think it helps out the Mariners as well as Castillo, even though he may not like it, with his pride and ego, thinking that, damn, I'm, going to the pen, but again, if it's about the team and not, me specifically with Castillo, and if he can take on that role and be positive about it, it could definitely help us, in that particular position group, because we're not really that great, even though we are the 4th ranked bullpen, believe it or not, even with all the mistakes that we've had this year. We're top 10 as a pitching group as the starters, and we're 4th as a bullpen, believe it or not. Popped up. And that is 2 away. Bryce Matthews there with the catch. And Garver flies out. 2 up and 2 down. Down goes Canzone. Down goes Garv. Hopefully he'll be productive before the game is up. And next up is Cole Clutch Young. Let's see if we can get Cole going. Every once in a while he'll go 0 for 4 or maybe 0 for 8 in back-to-back games, but usually that's when the drought ends. And then, if he ends up going hitless for a game or 2, usually that 3rd game is where he'll end up getting a few hits, and hopefully that'll be the case here today. 0-1 pitch, low and at the knees, almost hitting Young. 1 ball and 1 strike from Burrows to Young. And again, you have to assume if we had a left-handed pitcher for the Astros on the mound, we probably would not be up 3-0 right now. It'd probably be 0-0, and who knows, maybe we're down at this moment. 1-1 pitch popped up into left field, and that is out number 3. 3 up and 3 down there for the Mariners. Down goes Canzone, Garver, and Young, but hopefully they'll be able to get us some production as the game continues. Let's go to the bottom of the 2nd inning and see who's next up for the Astros. But getting an early lead when you have a pitcher that's suspect is big. Rick Riz and the NWSF, we love it. 50th anniversary for the Mariners, 40-plus years on the radio. Riz is retiring this year, and we dedicate the season here on the channel to Rick Riz and Dave Niehaus in baseball heaven. We love you. Now let's see who's up next year for the Astros in the bottom of the 2nd. Next up for the Astros in the 6th hole, shortstop Braden Shoemake. Batting 2nd in the 7-hole, center fielder Bryce Matthews. And batting 3rd in the 8-hole, right fielder Cam Smith. And on the mound so far, coming into the game with an 0-4 record, ERA of 6.57, Luis Castillo. But in the first inning, not bad, right? 1 inning pitch, no hits, no earned runs. He did have 2 walks, which is a little concerning. No Ks, 24 pitches, 9 strikes. His ERA is 6.41. But again, if you're going to walk a guy or give up a hit here and there, so be it. But just don't give up the RBI and the big home run. Go to the bottom of the 2nd inning, 3-0 Mariners. And if you're just tuning in, Luke Raley with a big 3-run blast, 368 feet to left center field. Donnie and Orosarena were on board. 3-0 Mariners. Right ends up. $45 subs to go to 24,100. We're at 10 on the dono train from Captain, 90 to go. And we're at 40 at the likes, 60 to hit that goal. Let him know, Captain. First pitch from Castillo to Shoemake is high and away, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, popped up into deep left field, fading foul. 1 ball and 1 strike from Castillo to Braden Shoemake. AR in the building, what's good? Trident's up. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 1-1 pitch from Castillo to Shoemake. Pops it up and out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Castillo to Shoemake. And a little dribbler up the middle, gets past Cole Young, and rolls to Luke Raley there in center field. A nice hit there by Braden Shoemake. Now, they probably don't anticipate a whole lot of home runs, in the first inning, and sometimes they end up having it hidden behind one of the doors, or in a certain location there in the dugout, but hopefully they'll make that celebration right for Luke Raley before it's all said and done. Next up is the 7-hole hitter, center fielder Bryce Matthews. First pitch is high and inside, 1-0 count. And hopefully we'll be able to get a double play or two to help Castillo if he does get himself into a little bit of a mini meltdown or jam. We weren't able to convert any of those yesterday, so we're definitely due for 1 or 2 today. 1-0 pitch to Matthews, high and inside. 2 balls and no strikes from Castillo to Matthews. Bottom of the second inning, 3-0 Mariners. Runner at first with no outs, and a big 3-run bomb by Luke Raley in the top of the first to give Castillo a little bit more confidence here in this matchup in game number 4 versus the Astros. Lead 2-1 in this particular series, but we want to be able to, get the job done and win, obviously, 3 out of 4. 2-0 pitch, takes a strike looking high and inside. 2 balls and 1 strike to Bryce Matthews. 2-1 pitch from Castillo, shows bunt, pops it up, behind the plate and foul. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Bryce Matthews. Shout out to everyone watching all across the globe in the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, and beyond, as well as our female viewership that has been skyrocketing within the last 2 years. 2-2 pitch fouled off in right field, out of play by Bryce Matthews. 2 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and no outs. Bottom of the second inning, 3-0 Seattle. The magic number is 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits. We're already more than halfway there. And hopefully Castillo doesn't give up 4 to 6 runs like he typically has. And as long as he gives up 3 or less, it should really put us in a good position. And also we have a lefty lineup, not a righty lineup. And that definitely is giving Castillo that extra insurance. We were going against a lefty, even if he had an ERA of 10, realistically the score is probably 0-0 right now, and maybe we're down. So thankfully we ended up going against a righty with Castillo, which is not common. And we have a stronger lineup for hitting, which is great. And we got a nice 3-0 lead. 3-2 pitch up the middle, no double play attempt. Throw to first, and JP slips, but still makes the play at first. And that is 1 away. And you got JP and Cole Young trying to have some communication there. Obviously, there was a pretty big jump there. It was kind of a run and gun opportunity, so not even a chance for JP to throw it to Cole Young for the double play attempt. And if he would have went to second, he would have been safe. So at least he ended up getting an out rather than having both guys being safe. Matthews grounds out to the shortstop. Shoemake, obviously, with the run and gun, is safe at second. Next up is right fielder Cam Smith. First pitch is low and away, 1-0 count. Slider, 86 miles an hour, missing there by Castillo on pitch number 1. 1-0 pitch to Cam Smith. Little dribbler up the middle. JP is there. Throw it. Got him. Wow. Shoemake is really fast on the bases there. And again, nice running gun attempt, from first to second. And let's see if the Astros are going to challenge this play at third. With JP Crawford having to run with the runner and then a throw to Donnie. And the ump punches him out there at third. And we'll see if the Astros are going to challenge here. Looked out, but again, nowadays with baseball, you never really know, right? And Shoemake is staying put at third, so he's confident that he got in, but let's find out. I don't know. The ump was staring at, the play, right there, but let's look to see if his hand ends up getting in time. Hard angle to be able to look there because the tag is behind the player, but, look at this reverse angle. And obviously you got the ump at third base crouched down literally 2 feet away from the player and punches him out right there, but hopefully we end up getting the out call here at third. But it is close. And again, how many close plays have we had this season? It feels like a bunch, right? A lot of 50-50 plays that could go either way, or 55-45, where, there's maybe just a little, slight room for, error and whatnot, but it's a long review. First initial, look at it looked out. First replay looked out, but then as you look at some of the other reverse angles, there looks like there, might be a chance where the fingers got into the bag. But I mean, you do have that, third base ump, like literally a foot or 2 feet away, staring exactly at the fingers and the tag. He's right there, but. I mean, it was a nice throw by JP and a nice tag there by Donnie, but obviously the review board may think otherwise. Let's see. Okay, runner is out. Good. And again, was he, safe? It was a very close call, but again, most of the time when we have these calls, we don't get them, right? It goes against us, and kind of feels good when you get a 50-50 play, to end up going our way, especially getting a runner at third. And we have Luis Castillo on the mound, so we know we're going to need everything and some when we got our worst starter on the mound. Good defense there by JP and Donnie, and that is 2 away. Next up is Cesar Salazar making his first start at catcher against the Mariners here this afternoon. First pitch is high and away, 1-0 count. And right to Josh Naylor, toe tap on the bag, and that is out number 3. End of the second inning, 3-0 Seattle. Now let's see who's up next as we go to the top of the third inning. Next up for the Mariners, 1-for-1 with a run, third baseman, Brendan Donovan, who had a double in his first at-bat. Let's go, Donnie. Batting second, DHing today, 0-for-1, Julio Rodriguez. Fouled one off his foot yesterday. Not sure if that's the reason that he's DHing. But again, it gives an opportunity for Luke to play center, as well as Dominic Canzone to play right. And batting third, 0-for-1 with a K. First baseman, it's Nails, Josh Naylor. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. 45 subs to go to 24,100. We're at 10 on the dono train, 90 to go, and we're at 49 likes, 51 to 100. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. So Burrows, 2 innings pitched, 2 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 1 K, 31 pitches, 20 strikes, 5.40 ERA. And Castillo, 2 innings pitched, 1 hit, no earned runs, 2 walks, no Ks, 39 pitches, 18 strikes with a 6.25 ERA. Trident's up. Let's go M's. First pitch to Brandon Donovan in there for a strike. 0-1 count. Let's go Donnie. Michael with the tour. Appreciate you. Let's go Mariners. We're at 12 on the Dono train. 88 to go. Trident's up. Shout out to Michael. Appreciate you. We're at 12 on the Dono train with Captain and Michael showing some love and support. Appreciate the two of you. Takes another strike, looking low and away. No balls and 2 strikes to Brendan Donovan. 0-2 pitch, low and away. Change up, 86 miles an hour missing there. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Brendan Donovan. 1-2 pitch, fouled off with the slider, low and away, 90 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Burrows to Brandon Donovan. Let's go Donnie. 1-2 pitch, high and away. And at least we don't have Donnie and Cal both out. You know, it definitely stung when both of those guys were out, you know, and again, Cal on the IL now for about 10 days. And hopefully he'll be able to get that right oblique and right side healed. And as long as Donnie is still here, it'll definitely help us. Popped up to deep right field in the gap, and it jumps over into the wall over the National Car Rental sign, and Donnie's going for 3. Go, Donnie, go! And Donnie with a triple. Let's go. And again, Donnie, a better hitter than Cal, obviously, this year. Was extremely hot at the beginning of the year with Cole Young. And again, had the injury, kind of a slow start, you know, to kind of get back into the rhythm, but is starting to find that hot streak that he had at the beginning of the year. And you don't see too many balls get away from Cam Smith and Bryce Matthews in the outfield. And look at that, a double and a triple from our guy, Brandon Donovan. I absolutely love Donnie. Great job. And it's not like Donnie's the fastest player either, but he still was able to get a triple out of that. Huge. Now let's see if Julio can knock him in with an RBI single, double, or a home run. Let's go, Julio. First pitch, big swing and a miss. 0-1 count. Oh-1 pitch, low and away. Slider 89 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike from Burrows to Julio. We know Josh Naylor has been a perfect fit, you know, at first base, but Donnie, you know, at third as well. Anything is better than Leo Rivas. 1-1 pitch, big swing and a miss, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at third. Brandon Donovan with no outs. Let's see if we can get this 4th run to come home. Come on, Julio. See if we can get a home run or an RBI here. Even an RBI single would be fantastic. 1-2 pitch, low and into the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Burrows to Julio Rodriguez. Burrows on the mound. Julio Rodriguez in the box. Trident's up. Let's go, Julio. 2-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Down goes Julio. Tried to jam him high and inside, and Julio got fooled, and that is 1 away. So we're not going to get the RBI out of Julio, but maybe we can get it out of Josh Naylor. On deck, Randy Orosarena. And both of these players have been extremely hot as of late. Let's go, Naylor. Let's go, Randy. Come on, Josh. I mean, we want to make sure we get as many runs, you know, for Luis Castillo, because in any given inning, he could give up 4 to 6. So, you know, we need to make sure we get as close to 5 to 10 runs as possible. Oh, 1 pitch from Burrows to Naylor, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Burrows to Naylor. You know, and then once we end up calling up Colt Emerson, and we have Colt, you know, at second, Cole Young at, you know, Cole Young at second, and Colt Emerson at shortstop, and then Donnie at third and Naylor at first. It's going to be one of the better infields in baseball. especially with two young guns and Cole Young and Colt Emerson, and then kind of the more OG vet guys, and Donnie and Naylor. It's going to be incredible. We're not going to have a whole lot of mistakes, with those four guys in the infield, even though Donnie is playing a new position this year, but he's done pretty damn good. 1-2 pitch, low and at the knees. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Burrows to Naylor. No disrespect to JP. JP obviously can come up in the clutch with big hits and home runs, and he's won us a few games this year, but his defense, like Julio this year, has regressed. And we definitely have seen Julio mistime a few balls and overran, 4 or 5 of them to, bring in runs for the other team, which is not ideal when you have one of the best defensive center fielders in the game, and normally in Julio. And then JP is usually electric, at shortstop, offensively, he is streaky, but defensively, usually he's on all the time, doesn't give up really anything. And again, this year is, had a few moments where, like, who is this? Is this JP Crawford or is this someone else? And, we obviously know that he knows that, time is running out, and Colt Emerson, is going to take that spot, but, he's got to be able to not worry about who's behind him and just focus on the Mariners and looking forward. Pitch is low and at the knees. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Josh Naylor. 3-2 pitch. Naylor with a hard hit ball towards first base and foul. But again, if you love Cole Young, you're going to absolutely fall in love with Colt Emerson. Colt is a guy that's got a little bit more power than Cole, as far as home runs, but a really, really good defender like Cole. And again, it's going to be an amazing combo. 3-2 pitch. Low and at the knees, and Burrows walks Naylor. Great patience there by Josh. Next up, 0-for-0 with a run and a base on ball, left fielder Randy Arozarena. Let's see if Randy can come up with a big play here. With one swing, the game could be 6-0. Let's go. Yeah, and it sounds like we're going to be getting Brash and Spire back sooner than later. Victor Robles pretty soon too, which is exciting, just to give us a little bit more depth. And again, Cal just went on the IL, and I'm luckily he ended up getting those 2 hits, so he's not like sitting 0 for 40 now, or 0 for 40 plus, and then having the IL. So at least he had kind of a bright spot before what happened yesterday, where he ended up grabbing his right oblique on that right side and, was wincing in pain, and then slipped, as he was trying to make a throw to first. Randy with a little slow dribbler, double play, throw to first, and got Randy in time. Big double play on Randy Arozarena. We leave 2 stranded, and we still have the 3-0 lead. Great defense there by the Houston Astros with the big double play, and at least Randy ran kind of hard to first. Sometimes he just kind of gives up, when he thinks he's out. But again, we have seen a little bit more hustle, to first base and on the bags from Randy. And obviously, his hitting ability has been through the roof. We just need that hustle and defense, on ground balls and left. Now let's see who's up next year as we go to the bottom of the 3rd inning for the Houston Astros. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up, 0-for-1, left fielder, the hero last night with the RBI, Zach Cole. Batting second, 0-for-1, second baseman, Jose Altuve. And batting third, 0-for-0 with a base on ball, DHing in the 3-hole, Yordan Alvarez. Right ends up. Let's go M's. $46 subs to go to 24,100. We're at 12 on the Dono train, 88 to go. And let's see where we're at on the likes. As we approach the bottom of the 3rd inning, we're at 55. Yeah, and I don't mind when we play good teams, because usually when the Mariners play good teams, we bring our A game, like when we played the Braves. So I know a lot of, fans of opposing teams, when they have a really good team coming in, like the Padres or like the Dodgers or the Braves, you are like, oh God, not them. But for, I think, some of us, I look forward to those matchups, to prove that we can hang with the top dogs, and we're going to bring our A game. We may not win every game, but hopefully we compete in every game. And, if you're going to get blown out, it might only be one time out of three. Hopefully all three games are close. And again, it's not like we're playing the Angels or the Athletics or the Royals. We're going to be playing up to the competition. And again, I'm looking forward to trying to win 2 out of 3 against the Padres, and hopefully we can get the win here today to give us that momentum as we play the Padres at home. And remember, they swept us in San Diego. We need payback. I don't forget, about those L's that we take earlier in the year. I keep track of every matchup, on how good and bad that we played. And, we know the Padres are one of the, best teams in baseball. There's no doubt about that, but that doesn't mean that we can't compete. We showed and proved that we could when we played the Braves. We should have swept them, but again, won 2 out of 3. 0-2 pitch, high inside. And a pitch low and away on pitch number 3, change up and sinker. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Castillo to Zach Cole. 2-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and a nasty punch out there from Castillo. We don't see that often. We like that. Nice job, Luis, and that is 1 away. And again, I didn't think he was going to get too many Ks. I was thinking, 4 to 5 is kind of what you expect, and then the most, if he's wheeling and dealing, maybe 7, but again, we'll take whatever we can get out of a player that normally gives up 4 to 8 runs. Next up, 0 for 1, second baseman Jose Altuve. And, last time that we saw Castillo, he was lights out for 3 innings and then gave up 4 in the 4th. We don't want that to happen here. First pitch, takes a strike right down the middle, 0-1 count. But also, when's the last time that Castillo had a nice lead? Even a 1-0 lead. Not often, right? So to be able to have a big, cushion, still not enough for us to feel comfortable. But, a 3-0 lead for Castillo is a dream come true, especially having it happen in the first inning. So less pressure. Even though the pressure is very high on Castillo, he can kind of be a little bit looser, with his approach here today. So 1-1 pitch, takes a strike looking low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Jose Altuve. 1-2 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Jose Altuve. Power in the building. What's good? So Luke Raley with a big 3-run blast in the top of the first inning to give Castillo a little confidence. And we had Donnie that ended up getting a double on the first at-bat of the game. And then Randy got on, and we ended up getting a nice 3-run blast. So that is 2 away. Down he goes. Jose Altuve. Next up is Yordan Alvarez. Got Castillo on the mound. Yordan Alvarez in the box. Takes a strike looking down the middle. 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch. Hard hit ball by Alvarez. Deep center field. Back. Gone! And that goes over Luke Raley's head, and Yordan Alvarez ends up cashing in on Luis Castillo. But on the flip side, we have to be happy it was only a solo dinger, not a 2-run jack or a 3-run blast to tie the game up. So, you have to assume Luis is going to give up a few. But again, at least it was only a solo dinger. 422 feet by Yordan Alvarez, one of the best power hitters in 2026. And he shows that right there. You go down the middle against one of the best players in the game, he's going to get you. Next up in the 4-hole, third baseman Isak Paredes. Again, hopefully Castillo gives up 3 or less. And it took him to the 3rd inning to give up his first run. So I think we have to be happy. You knew it wasn't going to be 3-0 for the whole time that he was out there. You knew at some point someone was going to make a play. But, you got to be positive, right? I'd rather have it be 3-1 than 3-2 or 3-3. So 0-1 pitch. Little dribbler towards third base and foul. No balls and 2 strikes to Isaac Paredes. Judah in the building, what's good? 0-2 pitch. Tried to jam him. Hard hit ball into left field, fading foul. Change up 87 miles an hour there by Castillo. Bottom of the third inning, 3-1 Mariners. We had a 3-run blast by Luke Raley in the top of the first inning to give us the 3-0 lead, and we were able to hang on to that lead here until the bottom of the third moments ago. Yordan Alvarez with a big solo dinger, and again, the way that Minataka Murakami, Matt Olson, Aaron Judge, and Yordan Alvarez have been hitting, it'd be kind of cool to see them in the home run derby. Big swing and a miss. Down goes Isaac Paredes on the changeup, low and away, and that is the end of the third inning. And again, even though he did give up a home run, overall, he's been pretty good for the first 3 innings for him, right? Again, he has been the worst starter out of anybody that we've had on the team. We've seen Kirby be electric. We've seen Wu have a couple hiccups, but get back to where we know he can be elite, right? Emerson Hancock has definitely surprised this season and has been a hell of a lot better than we anticipated, even getting 14 Ks a few days back. And obviously Logan Gilbert started off really bad in his first 2 starts, but is starting to get where we need him to be as well. And then we saw Bryce Miller make his 2026 MLB debut, and he looked awesome. So again, we're definitely trending in the right direction. Now let's go to the top of the 4th inning and see if we can make up for that home run that we gave up to Yordan and get that run back. Let's see who's up next here for the Mariners. Next up for the Mariners, 1-for-1 with a run, 3 RBIs with a 3-run blast in the first inning. It is Luke Raley. Let's see if we can get another nuke out of Luke. Batting second in the 6th hole, shortstop, 0-for-1, J.P. Crawford. And batting third, 0-for-1 in the 7th hole, playing right field today, the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. Right ends up. Let's go M's. End of the third inning, 3-1 Seattle. And another sub since the last commercial break. $45 subs to go to 24,100. We're at 12 on the dono train, 88 to go. And we're at 57 likes. $43 to 100. Yeah, White Sox are a good team this year. Munetaka Murakami gave them an identity finally. And definitely rubbed off on Miguel Vargas and Colson Montgomery. So, there's a chance. Depending on how they play in the second half of the season, who knows? Maybe the White Sox could go from one of the worst teams in baseball the last few years, and maybe they end up competing for a playoff spot. It's possible. 1-0 pitch, and Rayleigh pops it up to center, and Bryce Matthews is there, and that is 1 away. Luke Raley pops up into left, 1 away. Next up in the 6th hole, shortstop, J.P. Crawford. On deck, Dominic Canzone. Let's go, J.P. First pitch is low and away with a curveball, 78 miles an hour, 1-0 count. One 0 pitch, low and at the knees. 2 balls and no strikes to J.P. Crawford. 2-0 pitch. Takes a strike looking high and away. 2 balls and 1 strike to J.P. Crawford. 2-1 pitch. Takes another strike looking right down the middle. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Burrows to Crawford. Come on, J.P. 2-2 pitch. Low and at the knees. Count is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to J.P. Crawford. Yeah, they're doing the Josh Naylor bobblehead giveaway for Naylor's first bobble. So, again, we didn't do that great, on the road, and hopefully we'll be able to get a little payback and revenge at home. 3-2 pitch, hard hit ball by JP, and it gets past the infield all the way to right to Cam Smith. And nice job there by JP Crawford. The most patient hitter, out of most of the guys in the lineup more days than not. And again, can definitely draw a walk and have that patience. And nice hit there into right field by JP Crawford. We'll take anything that we can get out of JP on any given day, offensively and defensively. Next up, in the 7-hole, right fielder Dominic Canzone. Let's go, Dom. Ended up having his first grand slam in his career a few games ago. First pitch in there to Dom is a ball, 1-0 count. Low and away, change up 85 miles an hour. 1-0 pitch. Hard hit ball by Canzone into right field. Caught, and JP luckily ends up getting back to first. Good defensive play out there in right by Cam Smith. Very athletic player. His batting average, obviously, in the box has been a lot lower than anticipated, but a very good athlete out there in right field in Cam Smith. And again, if JP was, a little overly aggressive, that would have been a double play. So thankfully he gets back to first, and that is 2 away. First pitch into Mitch Garver. Big swing and a miss, 0-1 count. Burrows on the mound, Garver in the box. Oh, 1 pitch, popped up and out of play. No balls and 2 strikes from Burrows to Garver. All day in the building, what's good? Seahawks in the building, what's good? All day. Power in the building, what's good? 0-2 pitch, throw to first. JP is safe. Top of the 4th inning, 3-1 Mariners. 3-run blast by Luke Raley in the top of the 1st inning to give us the 3-0 lead. And Yordan Alvarez with a home run. 0-2 pitch, back, and see ya! Mitch Garver getting the job done. And again, filling in for Cal Raleigh since he has the injury. And it's like one time maybe out of every 10 or 15 games, Garver will homer. And look at that, Garver with a big 2-run jack with Crawford on board, 369 feet, tridents up. Let's go, M's, 5-1 over the Astros with Castillo on the mound. Let's go. That's what we're talking about, baby. Sometimes it's the unexpected heroes. We expect Luke more times than not to kind of get going, but we don't expect anything out of Mitch Garver. It's like Leo Rivas, Rob Refsnyder, and Connor Joe. You're just excited when it happens. Throw to first off the slow dribbler from Cole Young, and that is out number 3, but not after. And again, it would have been awesome if Garver would have hit a solo jab, just to get us to 4-1. But the simple fact that JP got a hit before that, anytime that you can end up getting, 2-run bombs, 3-run jacks, and grand salamis, it definitely increases your chances of winning the game tenfold. And again, especially when we got our worst starter on the mound. Thankfully, we're going against a righty pitcher, not a lefty. And again, we're definitely taking advantage of the better lineup because Castillo usually goes against the left-handed pitcher. We got a shitty-ass lineup with Refsnyder, Connor Joe, Garver, Leo Rivas in there. And, when you got 4 guys in the lineup out of 9 that you don't really feel good about, hard to win games when a pitcher like this usually is giving up 4 to 8 runs. But so far, he's only given up 1. We put up 5. And I love what I'm seeing here out of Mitch Garver, as well as Luke Raley. Tridents in both the photos, and the sports gods delivered. I love it. Great job, Mariners. Tridents up. This is exactly what we needed based on what happened yesterday. Next up for the Astros, 0-for-1 first baseman Christian Walker. Batting second in the 6-hole shortstop, 1-for-1 Braden Shoemake. And batting third in the 7-hole center fielder, 0-for-1 Bryce Matthews. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Hell yeah. $45 subs to go to 24,100. We're approaching 6 million views on the channel. We're at 12 on the Dono Train, 88 to go. And let's see where we're at on the likes now. We're at 69, 31 to go. No, Burrows only has 2 strikeouts. Castillo has 3. Burrows only has 2. So, not sure where you got that number from. Angel Torres, only 2. First pitch from Luis Castillo to Christian Walker. Fouls that one off. Four-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour, 0-1 count. And this is one of the first times that Castillo has actually got run support, and again, I don't think we're done. We're at 5 right now, but, we're pacing for 8 to 10 runs, and hopefully we get there. But even if Castillo ends up getting his first win of the season, I still think we need to move him to the pen. Again, we trust Bryce Miller, more than we do with Castillo, and, it's nice to be able to see that Castillo with run support can play, confident and play well, but in a week or 2 or even sooner, we got to definitely move him to the pen. But again, we will see. 0-2 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Christian Walker. Bottom of the 4th inning, 5-1 Mariners. We like this. After, blowing the game late with Bizzardo, and that's kind of been a trend for him the last, couple opportunities he's had, but, one with the White Sox and then obviously one here with the Astros. But, if you only score 2 to 3 runs, you can't expect to win, all the time. And again, typically for the Mariners, if you get to 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits or above and beyond that, it really does increase the chances of competing late in the game, no doubt, no matter who we play. 1-2 pitch to Walker, little check swing, blooper. JP is there. Throw to first to Josh Naylor, toe tap on the bag, and that is 1 away. Good job there by JP. Next up in the 6-hole, shortstop Braden Shoemake. So far, so good here out of Luis Castillo. First pitch is high and away to Braden Shoemake, 1-0 count. Mariners TV, Fox, and Peacock for the next 3 games against the Padres. 1-0 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and no strikes from Castillo to Shoemake. Thank you, the building. What's good? 2-0 pitch in there for a strike, high and away. 2 balls and 1 strike to Braden Shoemake. We had a Luke Raley 3-run jack in the top of the 1st inning to give us, that nice, 3-0 lead. And obviously Donnie got the party started with a double in his first at bat. JP ended up getting walked. Popped up to Randy, and that is 2 away. Down goes Braden Shoemake. And then we just saw Yordan Alvarez hit a home run in the bottom of the 3rd to make it 3-1. And then Mitch Garver, out of all people, hitting a 2-run jack and having JP on board, getting the job done. And just like that, 5-1. Or we had Donovan and Randy on board and the first Luke Raley home run, and then JP was on board for the Garver home run. It's not often that we get 2 big home runs, to get to 5, but we'll take it. First pitch into Bryce Matthews is in there for a strike. High and inside, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, fouls it off towards third base. Out of play. Change up 87 miles an hour there by Castillo. No balls and 2 strikes to Bryce Matthews. Oh-2 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Castillo to Matthews. 1-2 pitch to Matthews, high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Castillo to Matthews. We had 3 main guys that were struggling. Cal Raleigh now on the IL with that right oblique strain, so hopefully he'll get right. Castillo as the starter and then Mooney as the closer. Both had an ERA above 6, which is not ideal. Hard to win games when one of your starters has got an ERA of 6 and above and doesn't have a win yet, 0 for 4. And then you got a closer that, that was, normally top 5, top 10 and not good this year. But, we've seen flashes of good out of him in Andres Munoz, but hopefully he'll be able to get a little bit more consistent. Mariners challenge. And Mariners get the strikeout. The call is overturned. And down goes Bryce Matthews, and that is out number 3. Great job there by Cal with the challenge. Now let's see if we can add on a few more runs in this inning. Let's go to the top of the 5th and see who's up next here for Seattle. End of the 4th inning, 5-1 Seattle. And it does show you how important Donnie is to the team. When he's healthy and he's rolling, he really gets the party started with that double, and got everything going for us. 2 for 2 with the run. Third baseman, Brendan Donovan. And again, having Donnie and Cal out, it was almost impossible to win. But if Donnie can play while Cal is out and he doesn't have any other hiccups, we'll still be fine. Batting second, 0 for 2 with a K. DHing today, Julio Rodriguez. And batting third, 0 for 1 with a base on ball and a K, first baseman Josh Naylor. And then we just got to hope that Cal ends up healing up fully. And again, we're going to need him for the long haul after the All-Star break. End of the 4th inning, 5-1 Seattle. All right, we're at 77 likes. 23 to 100. Oh, baby. Mitch Garver. I love it. Anytime we can get anything out of Rivas, Garver, nice hit over the head of the second baseman there, and 3 for 3 day here out of Brendan Donovan. I love it. Getting back to where he was at the beginning of the season after his injury. Nice job, Donnie. But anything you can get out of Leo Rivas, Mitch Garver, Connor Joe, Rob Refsnyder, it's just, joy and bliss because you don't have any expectations. And then now with Brendan Donovan, starting to heat up, this is exactly what we needed since Cal went to the IL. Nice job. 3 for 3 day from Brendan Donovan. Next up is Julio Rodriguez. First pitch to Julio, pops it up and out of play, 0-1 count. All right, Captain says we're at 80, 20 more to go. And Garver with the challenge there, not Cal. That'll take a minute to have everything processed. Cal will be out for a little bit, so we'll have Johnny Pareda and Mitch Garver at catcher. So since we ended up letting Kisner go after we signed him in the offseason. 0-2 pitch, throw to first, and Donnie is safe. Top of the 5th inning, 5-1 Mariners with a runner at first and no outs. A pleasant surprise, especially with Luis Castillo on the mound, that he's only given up 1. And we got a 3-run bomb by Raley and a 2-run jack by Garver. You couldn't have scripted it better. 0-2 pitch. Julio pops it up to shallow center field. Bryce Matthews is there, and that is 1 away. Next up in the 3-hole, first baseman Josh Naylor. Yeah, one home run away from the cycle. And got a double, a triple, and a single. First pitch fouled off behind the plate there by Josh Naylor, 0-1 count. Top of the fifth inning, 5-1 Mariners. 0-1 pitch fouled off. Out of play. Change up, 86 miles an hour. No balls and 2 strikes to Josh Naylor. Yeah, double, triple, and a single so far for Donnie. O2 pitch, high and away from Mike Burrows. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Josh Naylor. Throw to first. And Donnie is safe. Top of the fifth inning, 5-1 Seattle. Runner at first, Brendan Donovan with a double, triple, and a single so far. Missing a home run from the cycle. 1-2 pitch. Fouled off high and away. Four-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour there by Mike Burrows. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Josh Naylor. One-two pitch, low and at the knees. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Josh Naylor. Curveball missing by maybe an inch or half inch there. 79 miles an hour, right on the line, but no challenge there. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Burrows to Naylor. 2-2 pitch, high and inside. Did he go? And Naylor goes around, and that is out number 2. Next up is Randy Arozarena. First pitch in there to Randy for a strike looking, 0-1 count. Hernandez hit the cycle on July 4th for 11 plate appearances. Holy moly. Oh, 1 pitch, low and away. Well, I mean, hell, if you get 11 plate appearances, I sure as hell hope so. You have a good chance on, getting a cycle. If you have that, I mean, that's like 2 full games and some. Might have been one of those games that went like 15, 20 innings, so. 1-1 pitch to Arozarena, high and inside. 2 balls and 1 strike from Burrows to Arozarena. Jolly with a 5-er. Appreciate you. Mets sweep the Tigers. 2-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss by Randy, low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Randy Arozarena. We know how badly the Mets have struggled this season. So for them to sweep anybody, let alone the Tigers, that's a big deal for them. 17 on the Dono train, like Captain mentioned, 83 to go. 2-2 pitch, big swing and a miss. Down goes Randy. And we leave Donnie stranded at first, and that is out number 3. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Let's see who's up next here for the Astros in the bottom of the 5th. Next up for the Astros, in the 8-hole, right fielder 0 for 1, Cam Smith. Batting second in the 9-hole, catcher 0 for 1, Cesar Salazar. And batting third, 0 for 2 with a K, leadoff hitter today, left fielder, Zach Cole. All right, let's take a look at the stat line here real quick for both pitchers. So Burrows, 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks, 80 pitches, 51 strikes with a 5.44 ERA. And coming into the game, 2-4 record with an ERA of 5.04. So, coming in, I had a feeling that we could, potentially get some runs on Burrows, and especially since he's a righty, not a lefty, that definitely helped Castillo's chances today. And then for Castillo, 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 4 Ks, 69 pitches, 39 strikes. His ERA is 6.17. Comes into the game with an 0-4 record, an ERA of 6.57. So he got his ERA down slightly. But the most important thing is we're not down 5-1. We're up 5-1. So a good thing for Castillo, not giving up 4 to 6 runs today yet. And hopefully he'll be as clean as possible. 3 runs given up or less. Right now he's at 1 and is pacing to keep it that way. Nice job. We love that. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Gained another sub. 44 subs to go to 24,100. We're at 17 on the dono train. 83 to go. And we're approaching 100 likes here sooner than later. We got 209 in the room. Where are we at? We're at 85. We're almost there. We can get 15 people out of the 207 in the room to get us to 100. We will hit that goal. First pitch to Cam Smith. Takes a strike looking high and inside. 0-1 count. Castillo on the mound. Cam Smith in the box. 0-1 pitch. Takes a strike looking low and away, but Smith is challenging. And I think he'll lose the challenge, or will he win it? Oh, wow, he wins it just barely. 1 ball and 1 strike to Cam Smith. Astros win the challenge there. One pitch, big swing and a miss. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Castillo to Smith. I mean, based on how the season has gone for the Mariners so far, I think we could care less if the Astros are good or if they're bad. At this point, we'll take wins against anybody. Good teams, bad teams, mid teams. We just got to be able to find a way to get to 500 and above 500. We could really care less if the Astros are good or not. And again, we won obviously 9 in a row. Dropped that game yesterday because of Pizarro, and hopefully we'll be able to start a new win streak here on the Astros starting with this game. 2-2 pitch. Low and inside at the knees. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Cam Smith. Three-two pitch. A little dribbler up the middle. JP is there. Throw to Naylor. Sidearm throw. And that is 1 away. Good defense there by JP Crawford on Cam Smith. Next up in the 9-hole, Cesar Salazar. First pitch in there for a strike. 0-1 count. Fouls that one off. Slider 85 miles an hour out of play. Oh, 1 pitch, hard hit ball, laser towards first base and foul. No balls and 2 strikes to Cesar Salazar. Bottom of the 5th inning, 5-1 Mariners. 0-2 pitch, popped up behind the plate and foul. No balls and 2 strikes from Castillo to Salazar. And especially after losing yesterday, this is exactly what we were kind of hoping for. We didn't really know if it was going to happen, but again, Luis has gone against a lot of left-handed pitching with poor right-handed lineup, And that's usually a double-edged sword that you're, you got a bad pitcher on the mound, you got a bad lineup, going against a lefty. It's usually a recipe for disaster. Thankfully, the Astros have a righty today, and we've been able to take advantage with a stronger lefty lineup, with Donnie and Luke Raley doing their thing. 1-2 pitch, high and away, as well as Mitch Garver. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Castillo to Salazar. I mean, he's pitched well. I mean, really, he just tested Jordan, down the middle, only once or twice. And then, Jordan finally got a hold of that one and ended up hitting a solo dinger. But besides the one pitch to Jordan, Castillo has been great today. Feeding off maybe a little bit of that momentum from Bryce Miller yesterday, and knowing that Luke hit that home run early, he definitely is pitching better. Line drive, Cole Young, throw to first. Woo! And that is 2 away. Look at Cole Young. What a wizard out there. Nice job by Cole Clutch Young. He can do it offensively. He can do it defensively. I love his athleticism. And when we get Colt Emerson called up, he'll be doing the same thing that JP does, but even more flashier. Nice job, Cole. And that is 2 away. Next up is Zach Cole. First pitch into Cole, in there for a strike, 0-1 count. Now, if we could, give Castillo run support like this every start, he definitely would have a couple wins by now. But 0-1 pitch. Goes to the backstop, to the Hancock sign. 1 ball and 1 strike from Castillo to Cole. Captain says we're almost at 90 there. Got 207 in the room. 1-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss to Zach Cole. Right down the middle. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. Bottom of the 5th inning. 5-1 Seattle. Trident's up. One-two pitch. And that is strike 3 looking. Wow. Nice job there by Castillo. And again, normally not very accurate in painting the corners, but again, when you have a 5-1 lead, maybe that gives you some extra confidence. And you don't got Cal behind the plate. It's Mitch Garver, but it doesn't matter. They're killing it. And that's the end of the 5th inning. Nice job there by Luis Castillo. And believe it or not, he's got 5 Ks. I was thinking 4 to 7 today, and he's on pace right in that wheelhouse in that number. Great job, Luis Castillo. He's got even more Ks than Burrows, who's got 4. Nice job, Luis. I mean, about time that we actually got a good performance, electric performance out of you, but also getting that run support is a big part of it as well. Let's not kid ourselves. All right, let's go to the top of the 6th inning and see if we can add on another run. Next up, 1 for 2 with a run and 3 RBIs with a 3-run bomb in the 1st inning. Center fielder Luke Raley. Batting second, 1 for 2 with a run, shortstop J.P. Crawford. And batting third in the 7-hole, playing right field today, the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. End of the 5th inning, 5-1 Seattle. All right, we're at 90 likes, 10 more to get to 100. We got 211 in the room. If we can get 10 people out of the 211, we'll be at 100 and we'll be on our way. 17 on the Dono train, 83 to go. And things are looking good here so far for the Seattle Mariners. First pitch from Burrows to Raley, and there for a strike looking, 0-1 count. Let's go, Luke. Let's see if we got another nuke out of Luke. 3-run blast in the first, batting .266 with 10 home runs and 27 ribbies. And it's just awesome to be able to see Luke, play like this. Luke is pacing for 35 to 40 home runs. That's awesome. 0-1 pitch, big swing and a miss. No balls and 2 strikes from Burrows to Raley. 0-2 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Burrows to Raley. 1-2 pitch, a little dribbler towards first base. Christian Walker is there, toe tap on the bag. Look at the hustle by Luke Raley. And that's the type of thing that, I always look for in players. Even if they feel they're out, 99.9%, how hard are you going to run to first? You never know if the player will trip or drop the ball or, end up making kind of a wild throw to first, depending on where the ball is at. You just never know. And again, I can really appreciate Luke Raley. He's always been that guy, even when his batting average was terrible and he was a liability in right field, with pop-ups, he definitely has always hustled. And again, I wish, Randy Arozarena and a few others would kind of take note on that's how you play baseball. All effort, all day, every day. 1-0 pitch to J.P. Crawford, popped up and out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike to J.P. Crawford. I mean, every time, you see Luke Raley running towards first, it's like he's in a 100-meter dash, and he's sprinting to get, to that, finish line. And I love it. 1-1 pitch. Fouls it off himself. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Burrows to Crawford. And we're going to come back home and get the job done. One-two pitch, a little dribbler up the middle. Should be routine. Throw to first. Walker is there. Toe tap on the bag, and that is 2 away. Velasco in the building. What's good? Next up for the Mariners in the 7-hole, playing right field today, the Italian Stallion, Dominic Canzone. Quick recap if you're just tuning into the broadcast. 3-run blast by Luke Raley in the first inning to give us a 3-0 lead. Yordan Alvarez with a solo dinger in the bottom of the third, making it 3-1. And believe it or not, Mitch Garver with a 2-run blast in the top of the fourth to give us a 5-1 lead. And Castillo has pitched well with the confidence of this run support behind him for the first time all season. And again, obviously knowing that his job being a starter is potentially on the line and having to go to the pen and whatnot could help us more. And we'll see how long we go with a 6-man rotation. 1-1 pitch. And Canzone with a little blooper into shallow left field. And Canzone pumps the brakes and goes back to first. And a nice 2-out single there by the Italian Stallion, Dominic Canzone. Nice job, Dom. Next up, in the 8-hole with the 2-run blast under his belt already, Mitch Garver. And Cal Raleigh ended up going to the 10-day IL with the right oblique strain that he kind of re-aggravated last night. So we won't have Cal for a week or two. But again, with Garver and Johnny Pareda, I feel confident, that we'll still be able to play well. And it's not like Cal was really hitting that well. He almost went to 0-40, and he ended up getting those 2 hits, before he ended up getting hurt yesterday and having to go to the IL. So at least we don't have to worry about, Cal being 0 for 44 and then being injured and then having to come back and then, having that be on his mind. So at least, he got those couple hits before he ended up going to the injured list. It will be challenging, not to have him behind the plate, but again, I think Garver and Pareda will be up for the challenge. Throw to first, and Dom is safe. Try dance up. Let's go, M's. In the bullpen is Cody Bolton. First pitch to Garver towards third base and foul. Sinker, 92 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Top of the 6th inning, 5-1 Seattle. Really happy for Castillo and really happy, for Luke Raley with a 3-run blast, Mitch Garver with a 2-run jack, Castillo only giving up 1 run. It's a match made in heaven. Too bad we weren't able to win yesterday, so potentially we could have gotten the sweep, aka mop, but we already got 4 in a row against the Astros the first time that we played them. We had a 9-game win streak that ended yesterday, but we can start another one here today. 0-1 pitch, low and away there by Mike Burrows. 1 ball and 1 strike to Mitch Garver. Cal's on the IL with a right oblique strain that happened yesterday. But they could have already put him on the IL, a few days ago. But I think this is the time to do it. We want to make sure that he's good for the rest of the season. And if he was going to fight through it, not going to get a whole lot of hits and not a whole lot of home runs, and might be a liability as a catcher. Not just being healthy enough to be able to throw guys out and to be able to focus on calling a great game. So. It just sucks anytime you end up having a player on the injured list and multiple players. Like when we had Donnie and Cal on the IL, it felt almost like impossible to win games without those guys playing. But, Donnie is back to where he was at the beginning of the year finally. And, he's got a double, triple, and a single so far. And we'll see what happens with Cal, and hopefully he'll be good when he comes back. 2-2 pitch, low and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Mitch Garver. Come on, Garv. Top of the 6th inning, 5-1 Mariners. Runner at first with 2 outs. Burrows on the mound, Garver in the box. 3-2 pitch. And Garver with great patience taking the walk high and inside. And now we have runners at first and second for Cole Clutch Young. Let's go, Cole. And again, anytime Cole goes 0 for 4 or 0 for 8 in 2 games, usually he breaks through. This would be a great opportunity for an RBI to make it 6-1. Come on, Cole. First pitch to Young. In there for a strike looking, 0-1 count. Oh, 0-1 pitch. And a little foul tip into the catcher's glove. No balls and 2 strikes from Burrows to Young. Top of the 6th inning, runners at first and second with 2 outs. Come on, Young. 0-2 pitch. Low and at the knees. That one gets away from Cesar Salazar momentarily. Runners don't have a chance to advance, though. Runners still at first and second with 2 outs. Top of the 6th, 5-1 Seattle. 5 runs, 7 hits so far with no errors for the Mariners. We like that. Low and at the knees. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Cole Young. Raley, Young, Naylor, and Rodriguez leading the team in RBIs this season. Raley number 1 with 27. Young second with 22. And then Naylor and Julio tied for third with 20. But obviously when you get 7 RBIs in one game, that put him in front of Cole when he had the grand salami and 3-run jack against the White Sox when they ended up wearing those Chicago Bull throwbacks. 2-2 pitch, hard hit ball. Here we go, Cole, all the way back to the wall, and that's going to score 2. Let's go. Go, go, go. Yes. And now the score is 7-1 Mariners. Cole Clutch Young does it again. And again, I'm never worried about Cole when he goes 0 for 4, 0 for 8, because eventually that happens. A big RBI sequence, and he's very good with runners in scoring position, just like Luke Raley this year. Great job there by Cole Young. And again, even if you get into an 0-2 count, you can fight through it to make it 2-2 and get that perfect pitch that ends up being a big, big 2-run RBI triple. We got a triple out of Donnie and a triple out of Cole Young. Someone pinch me. Let's go. And again, to get a triple in a game, right? It's hard enough to do it once, right? Let alone to get two different guys to get triples in a game. And we have Castillo, our worst pitcher, on the mound. So again, I really wish we would have not had the meltdown by Bizzardo and we could have found a way to, win the game yesterday. That one hurt. Anytime you end up having a good pitching performance yesterday, with Bryce Miller making his 2026 debut, should have won it for him, right? Emerson Hancock with 14 Ks, leading the MLB in Ks at that moment. Couldn't win for him, and then obviously Logan Gilbert, with 9 Ks, season high, can't win, when he does well. So sometimes, the batters, or the bullpen will let us down. But so far here, Castillo pitching great, home runs aplenty, by Luke Raley, Mitch Garver, and then Cole Young with a big 2-run RBI triple. I mean, you can't ask for anything, more than that. And just like that, 7-1 Mariners, and they're going to make a pitching change, and hopefully we'll be able to get the job done here on Cody Bolton. All right, Cody Bolton coming in. Mike Burrows, 5.2 innings pitched, 8 hits, 7 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 Ks, 102 pitches, 64 strikes, 5.72 ERA. He is done. Cody Bolton comes in, and let's see if Donnie, if he hits a home run here, he'll get the cycle. But even if he gets an RBI single to make it 8-1, that would be great. And I'm trying to remember, when's the last time a Mariner player hit the cycle? It's been a minute, right? It's not something that we see very often because, again, normally you can't get that triple. That's usually the one piece that you're missing. You can get a single, you can get a double, you can get a home run, but triples are very rare, and today we have 2 of them. One by Donnie and one by Cole Young. Little dribbler, throw to first, and that is the first out there on Donnie here today. He ends up going 3 for 4. Runner is stranded at third. Cole Young, but again, Cole ended up bringing home 2 with that triple. And again, 7-1 is a lot better than 5-1, baby. I love that. Trident's up. Let's go M's. And again, we're going to go through a lot of emotions, being a fan of this team. When we go up, things are great. We're on cloud 9. Everything feels great like it does right now, even though we know we got a few more innings to go with the bullpen and whatnot. But with a 6-run lead, you assume that we should be able to hang on. And then you get close games like we had yesterday that kind of slip through our fingers and lose. I think those are a little bit more painful than losing like 10-0. When you lose 10-0, you already have kind of started to lose a little bit of hope when it's like 5-0 and you're like, oh God, it's one of those games, and sometimes we can come back, when we're down by 4 or 5 runs. But, I definitely feel like those games that you feel that you should have won, that you end up losing by a run and slip through your fingers, whether it ends up being Bizzardo in the bullpen or the lack of hitting or both. But today, a little bit of redemption against this Astro team. And again, let's see who's next up here for Houston as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Great job there by Cole Young. I'm never worried about him when he goes 0 for 4 or 0 for 8 because he typically comes up big, and he does again. Nice job, Cole. Next up for the Astros, leading off in the 2-hole, 0 for 2 with a K, second baseman Jose Altuve. Batting second, 1 for 1 with a run, RBI, base on ball, and a home run. Obviously there in the bottom of the 3rd inning, Yordan Alvarez. And batting third in the 4-hole, third baseman 0 for 1 with a base on ball and a K, Isaac Paredes. Trident's up. Let's go M's. $45 subs to go, do 24,100. We're at 17 on the dono train, 83 to go. And let's see where we're at with 220 in the room. Where are we at on the likes here? We're at 101. Let's see if we can get to 150 before the game is over. Altuve pops up into foul territory. 3 Mariners are there. JP gets it, and that is 1 away. Nice job there by J.P. Crawford in foul territory. Down goes Altuve, which is always a great sign. Next up is Yordan Alvarez. And again, the way that Yordan has been playing this year, I would love to see him in the home run derby. Give me Matt Olson from the Braves. Give me Yordan Alvarez. Give me Munetaka Murakami from the White Sox, rookie phenom, and Aaron Judge. Now, the chances of that happening is probably slim to none to get all those guys to agree. But, based on home run ability this season, those guys have been electric. 0-1 pitch. After that first pitch is fouled off, high and inside to Yordan. Takes a strike looking low and away. Change up 87 miles an hour by Luis Castillo, who's pitching himself a gem here today, giving up only a home run to Yordan. But again, a lot of guys homer off Yordan. And again, he's been painting the corners better, not challenging too many hitters down the middle besides one bad pitch to Alvarez early in the game. And again, he's gotten great run support. So anytime you end up having a big lead, instead of being down, your confidence is through the roof. 0-2 pitch, high and inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Castillo to Alvarez. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 1-2 pitch, hard hit ball into right field with a broken bat. Goes into Dominic Canzone, and a nice single there from Yordan Alvarez. Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't think anyone really gives a shit about Ben Rice unless you're a Yankee fan. Not really a big enough name, but, he has been playing well. All right, next up in the 4-hole, third baseman Isaac Paredes. First pitch is high and away, 1-0 count. Bottom of the 6th inning, 7-1 Mariners. We love that. Definitely needed a little bit of payback from yesterday's loss. And we end up having a trip back home to T-Mobile after this game is over, and we're going to have a 3-game set against the Padres, and I'm really looking forward to that series just like I was against the Braves. I think that we're going to play well against the Padres at home. We haven't forgotten that they swept us in San Diego. Mason Miller is insane, right? We know he's like the best closer in the game, can pitch, 100 to 104 on the regular as the Mariners challenge, and that call is overturned. But again, I'm up for the challenge, and I think that we could potentially win 2 out of 3, but again, pitching, bullpen, defense, and hitting have to come together. 1-1 pitch, little dribbler towards third and foul. But obviously winning 3 out of 4 and winning the series and winning this game going into the next series is much better than winning the first 2 games and then dropping the last 2 games if we were to lose today. So, I'm glad that, we definitely have rebounded from yesterday's tough loss, that we kind of felt that maybe we should have won that game, but kind of let slip through our fingers. And, a great rally there in the 9th to tie it up, but it just, sometimes pitching at the end of the games, with certain individuals in, guys that are AAA guys like Hoppy, sometimes they're going to, get 3 punch outs, and sometimes they're going to end up giving up, big clutch hits late. But Bizardo, kind of the main reason that we ended up losing that game. 1-2 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Castillo to Isaac Paredes. Bottom of the 6th, 7-1 Seattle. Big swing and a miss, and down he goes. Another punch out there for Castillo, and we like that. Ready to bring the electricity today. And again, finally, after having an 0-4 record with an ERA of 6.57, actually having a good game, that is going to be punch out number 6. And I thought 4 to 7 was what he could get, and he's right there. He's at 6. He's at 97 pitches. So let's see if they let him continue here and try to get Walker out. I mean, he might end up getting to pitch 100 to 104. But again, let's see if we can end up getting a quick out here on Walker. First pitch is fouled off into third base. 0-1 count. 272 average, 10 home runs with 29 ribbies for Christian Walker. Fly out and ground out earlier. 0-1 pitch, low and at the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike from Castillo to Walker. And this has been the first performance all year that Castillo's looked good. I mean, it might have taken, 45 games in to do it, but, we're a quarter of the way through the season right now, and, better late than never, I guess. 1-1 pitch, Popped up and out of play in right field. And shout out to Mitch Garver, for calling a really good game here today. We know, in years past, Cal was, light years ahead of Mitch calling a game. But obviously with Cal's injuries and whatnot, and, Mitch not being on the team until Cal recommended, after they signed Kisner and were looking like they were going to move on from Garver, they decided to let Kisner go. Garver's here. We got Johnny Pareda as the backup. And again, no access to Harry Ford because we traded him away for Jose Ferrer. And again, Garver is, not great, but he's been, streaky at best. But again, he's definitely getting better behind the plate. And he had a big 2-run blast today, so we got to congratulate him for that. Not something that Garver does often. Once every maybe 10 to 20 games, he'll hit a homer. And maybe not even that. So 2-2 pitch, low and away. I mean, you assume with Mitch Garver, he's a guy that's probably going to be under 15 home runs, on the season. So anytime you can end up getting a home run out of Mitch Garver, you'll take it. 3-2 pitch and jams him, and it goes towards third base and foul. 4 ground outs, 7 fly outs, 6 strikeouts, and it's not like we've gotten a lot of double plays for Castillo here, but luckily he hasn't got himself into too many jams. He's at 102 pitches right now. He's got his ERA below 6, so that's nice. And let's see if we can get the punch out here on Walker. Three-two pitch, popped up and out of play. No, usually for the NFL, if I'm going live, it'll be for like the NFL draft, something important. Not to say the schedule release is not important, but that's not worth a stream to me. It'll be something that I'll watch on my own time. But, once we get into, preseason and whatnot, then, we'll get back to more NFL action at that time. When we get into college football season and preseason and then the NFL season. But, obviously we're going to be doing Mariner baseball every day until the season's over. And then even when the season's over, we'll continue to keep doing, a little bit of the playoffs in the World Series. And we'll still be doing Monday night, Thursday night, Sunday night football and college football on Saturdays and sometimes even on Fridays. But we will see how it all shakes out here later tonight. 3-2 pitch to Walker. And that ends up being a walk. And I assume you got to pull him now. I mean, he's well over 100 pitches here. I mean, he's at 106. So, I mean, we really haven't seen too many guys go over 100, let alone over 104. So, at this point, I would pull him, and whatnot. And I get it, this is his best start that he's had. But again, if we keep them in there and all of a sudden they hit a 3-run bomb with Shoemake and then the score is 7-4, do we really feel comfortable? And I don't think we do, because again, we know how things can go, in a matter of, a split second. We can have a 6-run lead and all of a sudden Castillo gives up a 3-run blast at 7-4. We bring in someone in the bullpen. They have a fucking meltdown. And then before you know it, it's the 9th inning and we're tied at 7. We don't want that. So I'm kind of shocked that they're keeping Castillo in there. And obviously this is his first really good start of the year. But hopefully he doesn't end up making the crucial mistake, and giving up a big RBI or a big home run. He gave up 1 home run to Yordan Alvarez. And I know we have a 6-run lead, but let's not get cocky here. First pitch, fouled off behind the plate. And I feel, for like the schedule release, usually when people get hyped up about that is because they don't really have anything else that they're hyped up about. Like they're not a baseball fan, or maybe not as a hardcore baseball fan. Maybe they're not into the NBA or the NHL, and maybe WWE isn't working for them either, or AEW. So, and I know Jacob likes multiple sports and whatnot. And that goes off the wall. And Randy is looking for the baseball and how many runs come home. And like I said, we should have pulled him. And that's Dan Wilson being an idiot, right? You leave a guy in too long and then eventually they're going to make you pay. And that brings in 2 runs. And that's a big double there from Shoemake. And now the score is 7-3. And sometimes you have to understand, your players and where you're at. And again, with a player being, at 106 pitches, why the hell would you let him keep going after having runners at first and second, and then you already, walked that last guy? Like, do you really think that he's just going to blow him away when he's tired at this point? Like, that's a big mistake there by Dan Wilson. We could have had still a 7-1 lead. Now, bringing in a new guy, they could have had the same result. But now Nick Davila comes in, but again, a little too late there. You could have left Castillo, on a high note. Like, look what you did. You only gave up a home run to Yordan Alvarez, but now, him leaving the game is on kind of a negative connotation now because you just gave up a big 2-run RBI, and instead of like celebrating the Castillo outing, now we're a little annoyed, with Castillo and Dan Wilson making that decision. So, I think, with Dan, as far as like awareness, not very smart. He's one of those guys that, plays it safe, tries to hope that the player will figure it out, but again, same thing with Scott Service, but you have to know your players and you have to know the pitch count. Again, it's his first good outing, but you ruined it for him. It could have been 7-1. Hey, you only gave up one Yordan Alvarez home run. Great job. The offense was there. You played well, but instead you're a fucking idiot and you keep him in too long. And then he gives up almost a home run, ends up bouncing off the wall, and they score 2. And then now we're still up 4, but again, we've seen our bullpen, give up runs pretty quick. And, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, kind of like predicting what was going to happen, but I've seen this fucking story before. And just like that, Dan Wilson being a dummy, and now we only have a 4-run lead. But at least we got Nick Davila coming in, and he's been pretty trustworthy. So let's see if Nick can bail us out, and hopefully we still have a 4-run lead. But that was kind of common sense to pull him after the walk, and he didn't. And it's not like he was sitting at 90 pitches at that point. He was at like 106. So what on, any situation, would make you think that he was going to get that last out, with 106 pitches in already? Dumb. All right, Nick Davila comes in to try to clean up the mess. And next up is the 7-hole center fielder, Bryce Matthews. I hate that for Castillo too. Because again, instead of celebrating his first good start now, as he exited, it was kind of negative. He's walking off with his head down, giving up that big 2-run RBI, double. And it should have been him going out with an applause, from the Mariner, dugout. Hey, you did good today for the first time all year. And instead he goes into the locker room, obviously with his head held low, and that's not what you want. That's Dan Wilson for you, dummy. 0-1 pitch. In there for a strike. No balls and 2 strikes from Davila to Matthews. I wanted to be able to celebrate someone that's been ass all year, right? We know Mooney's been booty. We know Munoz has, slightly got it turned around. And Castillo's been the worst player on the team and finally did good. And, you ruined it for him. 0-2 pitch. High and inside. Now, you could have, brought in Nick Davila and the same result could have happened, but I think that we would have, felt better, it happening to Davila rather than Luis today. So. One-two pitch, little dribbler. Cole Young is there, throw to first, a nailer, and that is out number 3. But again, it's like, these little situations, even when we have big leads, you want to make sure that you're not getting too comfortable, too cocky. Like he has zero awareness, on the players and how they're feeling, how they're looking. He's just one of those guys that, just like Scott Service and a lot of the managers in the game, they just kind of leave guys out there and, sometimes they leave guys in there too long, pull them too early. But the kind of mentality, they'll figure it out. But again, when a guy has been the worst pitcher on the team and he's over 100 pitches already and he's only given up a run and then he ends up walking that last batter, pull him. Runners at first and second, what are you going to gain? He's at 106 pitches. I mean, realistically, something big was going to happen and it did. And, it's like, I hope, Dan will realize that mistake, but realistically, he probably will just be like, well, we're going to win the game, so it doesn't matter. But it fucking does. Because at some point, we're going to end up having a 7-1 lead, and then we're going to lose 8-7, and we're going to lose our goddamn mind. So, Not ideal, but at least we still have a 4-run lead. All right, let's see who's up next here for the Mariners as we go to the top of the 7th, and let's see if we can make up those 2 runs that Dan Wilson and Luis Castillo just gave up. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 3 with a K, DHing today. Julio Rodriguez doesn't do very good when he DHs, as we can see. Batting second, 0 for 2 with a base on ball and 2 Ks, first baseman Josh Naylor. And batting third, 0 for 2 with a run, base on ball and a K, left fielder Randy Arozarena. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Yeah, it's one thing to show faith, but again, you don't let a guy go over 100 pitches, let alone a guy that has been the worst on the team. Again, if you understand where normally people have the cutoff, we normally don't let guys go over 100. And that's not just the Mariners, that's every team in baseball. So again, if you're not too familiar with pitch count, again, a lot of guys are going to go out within the 80 and 90 range. And again, most of the time, if they hit 100, you pull them as soon as possible. Because usually once you go above 100 and then 102, 104, a disaster is about to happen. And then if you let a guy that's been the worst pitcher, go 104, 105, 106 pitches, it's not going to end well, especially having runners at first and second, at that point. And again, we're lucky that wasn't a home run. It still ended up scoring 2, but there's one thing to have faith, but there's a time and a place to have the faith, and again, if he was at 80 or 90 pitches, fine. But not when he's already at 104, and then you just let him try to get that last out. That's bad managing, And again, that's not just the Mariners. That's any situation for any team in baseball. If you would have left that guy in, every fan base would agree that was the wrong move. One, 2 pitch. Big strike 3 there on Julio looking. And again, Julio at DH, not a good combo. Next up is Josh Naylor. First pitch is low and away, 1-0 count. Situational baseball, 1-0 pitch, high and away, changeup, 89 miles an hour, 2 balls and no strikes from Bolton to Naylor. And Naylor with a little ground ball, throw to first to Christian Walker, toe tap on the bag, and that is 2 up and 2 down. So after Castillo walked a player and then, was sitting at 104 pitches, Dan thought it would be smart to have him go one more player, and then they ended up getting a 2-run RBI double. And again, 7-1 turns into 7-3. Shoemake doubled the left, Walker and Alvarez ended up scoring. So, and that was just a very easy thing to prevent, I mean, you pull a guy at 100, 101, 102, 103, hell, 104, that might be the maximum that you would want anybody to go, even George Kirby or Wu or Miller or Gilbert, anybody, but, I guess that's just who he is, But again, we've seen this story before out of Dan Wilson. It's not like this is the first time he's done, a dumb decision. A lot of the decisions are common sense in baseball terms, but, 0-2 pitch, and Randy pops up. Should be an easy play here. Bryce Matthews in center, 3 up and 3 down. And thankfully, we ended up, having a 7-1 lead. But imagine if the game was closer. Imagine if we had a 4-1 lead and now it's 4-3. We don't feel very comfortable, So again, it's all about situational baseball, and hopefully Dan will realize that that was wrong, and doesn't do that again. And I don't care if it's Louise or Kirby or Wu or Gilbert or Miller. If you have that situation happen again, you have to remember when you messed up. Now let's go to the bottom of the 7th and see who's up next here for the Astros. Next up for the Astros, 0 for 2, right fielder Cam Smith. Batting second in the 9-hole, catcher Cesar Salazar. And batting third, leadoff hitter 0 for 3 with 2 Ks, left fielder Zach Cole. 45 subs away from 24,100. Again, 2 more subs. Appreciate you. 43 subs to go to 24,100. We're at 17 on the dono train, 83 to go. And we're at 108 likes. Let's see if we can get to 150. Yeah, and even if we're thin in the bullpen, you know, we still have guys that can go 1 or 2 innings if really, really needed, you know. And again, I would have been much, you know, happier with, you know, making the change at 104 pitches. And then if Davila comes in and then he gives up the big double, so be it. We're okay with that. I mean, it still sucks, you know, but again, that would have been the right move, you know, managing wise. But, you know, but again, I'm not really surprised by Dan Wilson. He does that pretty often. First pitch to Cam Smith, little blooper in the right field. Dominic Canzone is there, and that is 1 away. Down goes Cam Smith. I mean, especially, you know, on a channel like this where we're Fanatics and, you know, everything is, you know, broken down, you know, every single stat, every single metric, you know. And again, I mean, it's easy for some to be able to just to be like, oh, whatever, you know. But again, you know, if we're trying to be able to make a playoff run and we're trying to win the division, you know, things like that need to be noted, you know, because again, there's going to be a time where, you know, we end up having a big lead and then Dan makes a couple bad decisions and then we end up losing a game that we for sure should have won. And, you know, sometimes that negative energy on those negative, you know, decisions, you know, can kind of carry over, you know, from one game to the next. So we don't want that. Bottom of the 7th inning, 7-3 Mariners. First pitch in there to Salazar. And we got a 1-1 strike count from Davila to Salazar. 1-1 pitch. High and away. 1 strikes from Davila to Salazar. We're getting a challenge here by Salazar. Call is overturned. Three-one pitch from Davila to Salazar. Fouls that one behind the plate. Count now is full. 3 strikes from Davila to Salazar. Three-two pitch from Davila. And that is strike 3, and there's another challenge. Salazar thought for sure that was a walk and started running towards first. And ends up getting the call. Look how close that was. Wow. And strike 3 ends up being a walk. Next up, left fielder Zach Cole. First pitch, low and at the knees, in there for a strike. And another challenge here by the Astros. Looks like the ump is losing a little bit of his touch here late in the game. And doesn't get that call. One challenge remaining after they lose that challenge. 0-1 count. Let's go, Davila. Bottom of the 7th inning, 7-3 Mariners. 0-1 pitch. Popped up and out of play. There by Zach Cole. No balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 1 out. Bottom of the 7th inning, 7-3 Seattle. 0-2 pitch. High and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Davila to Cole. Slow dribbler up the middle for a double play would be ideal. We haven't really had too many opportunities for double plays today. 1-2 pitch. Hard hit ball into left field, fading foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Davila to Cole. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 1-2 pitch from Davila to Cole. Fouls it back to the Houston sign there behind the plate. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 1 out. Bottom of the 7th inning, 7-3 Seattle. Just wish that they would have pulled Castillo when we were up 7-1 so he could have went out with an applause rather than with his head hung low after giving up that RBI on, obviously getting from 104 all the way up to 108. Should have never been in the game. Two balls and 2 strikes from Davila to Cole. Pitch is high and away, four-seam fastball. 95 miles an hour there by Nick Davila. 2-2 pitch. Little dribbler up the middle. Get it, Cole. Get it, Cole. Throw to Naylor, and that is 2 away. Good job there by Cole Young. Had a hard time finding that ball. Had to do a 360, but still got the ball there to Josh Naylor, and that is 2 away. Nice job by Cole Clutch Young. Down goes Zach Cole. Next up in the 2-hole, second baseman Jose Altuve with a runner at second. And that is Cesar Salazar at second base. And then we got Garver and Nick Davila having a little mound visit here. And hopefully we can get this last out and hang on to our 4-run lead. And hopefully make up another run or 2 for the 2 runs that we just gave up from Castillo recently. And honestly, I don't like any of the pitchers getting to 100. Honestly, it's like, it's one thing, if you're doing well, but we have a long season and we have a lot of injuries already. So no matter how good someone is doing, so you want to typically get them out, before you even get to 100 pitches. But bottom of the 7th, runner at second with 2 outs. 1-0 pitch. And Altuve pops it up in foul territory. Garver is there, and he dropped it. Oh, he tripped there, and I hope he's okay. Garver trips into the dirt there and misses that ball. And I thought that would have been an easy play for Garver to make, but unfortunately trips over himself with all that catching gear, and hopefully he's okay. I mean, we already got Cal Raleigh injured, so kind of weird that he went down on 2 knees there. Should have just kept running for it, but I mean, sliding, on your knees, that wasn't very smart. You should have just went under it and ended up catching it that way instead of going down to your knees and hopefully that you still have good balance to make that catch. But it looks like he kind of tripped too, so. Hopefully Garver's knee is okay. I mean, we're already down 1 catcher, and we have Johnny Pareda, but all right, looks like Garver's okay. All right, we got to brush yourself off and got to get this last out here. Bottom of the 7th, 7-3 Mariners. Runner at second. Jose Altuve, a dangerous hitter in the box. 1-1 pitch from Davila to Altuve. Tries to jam him. And crushes that one into left field. Foul. Out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Davila to Altuve. Try to ends up. Let's go, M's. Finish strong. 1-2 pitch to Altuve. Fouls that one off. Garver there. Hopefully he's okay. One ball and 2 strikes with a runner at second and 2 outs. Luckily, Garv has got the big shin guards there. Otherwise, that would have gotten right on bone there. That would have not felt good. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at second and 2 outs. 7-3 Mariner lead. 1-2 pitch to Altuve, low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Davila to Jose Altuve. And Davila steps off. Come on, Mariners, finish. Try to ends up. Let's go, M's. Finish strong. 2-2 pitch. Got him. There we go. Now, Altuve is going to challenge, and obviously the ump has been very shaky this inning, so hopefully this call will stand. Oh, and it's a ball. Astros win the challenge. Jeez, man, we're getting really close on a few of those calls there. And now the count is 3 balls and 2 strikes to Jose Altuve. Come on, Davila. Ever since keeping Castillo in, it's definitely not been easy now. But for Davila, 3-2 pitch, little dribbler towards third. Donnie is there. Nice throw to Naylor, right on point, and that is out number 3. Finally. There we go. Nice job there by Brendan Donovan. End of the 7th inning. (7-3) Seattle. Let's go to the top of the 8th and let's see if we can make up for that big 2-run RBI double there by Braden Shoemake that scored Walker and Alvarez in the bottom of the 6th inning. Nice job there by Donnie with the defense, having a great day in the box as well. $43 subs to go to 24,100. Next up for the Mariners, 1 for 3 with a run and 3 RBIs with a 3-run blast in the first to give us that swagger and confidence that we needed. Luke Raley. Batting second, 1 for 3 with a run, shortstop J.P. Crawford. And batting third, 1 for 3 with a run, right fielder, the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. Try to ends up. Let's go, M's. We got 220 in the room. If we can get 37 out of 220, we'll at least be at 150. Julio Rodriguez 90s jersey night. I got a nice Ken Griffey Jr. cutoff vested jersey from back in the day. Russell Athletic, when they were the provider for jerseys back then, with the matching turtleneck. Very rare piece. First pitch into Luke Raley. High and away, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, a little dribbler towards first, and foul. Cutter, 91 miles an hour there by Cody Bolton. 1 ball and 1 strike to Luke Raley. Bolton on the mound, Raley in the box. 1-1 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 1 strike with nobody on and no outs. Top of the 8th inning, 7-3 Mariners. Yeah, anytime they end up, bringing out different versions of the Griffey, definitely one of those, famous shoes, back in that time, the first baseball player to have his own shoe. And again, whether you played Ken Griffey Jr. baseball and Super Nintendo or had the shoes or the candy bar or anything related to Griffey, it's always cool to be able to see those, come out again. And, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of those, but again, I always look forward to seeing when they end up having those new drops. Two pitch from Bolton to Raley. And Raley pops it up. And out of play. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Bolton to Raley. Curveball, 80 miles an hour, high and away. Two pitch from Bolton. And Raley fouls it off himself. Hopefully he's okay. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Bolton to Raley. Try ends up. Let's go. And we want to make sure we're going off on a high note, because we got the Padres next. And they swept us in San Diego, and we got to try to win 2 out of 3. And I think we have a very good chance of that happening. And Raley with a hit right up the middle, all the way to Bryce Matthews in center field. Nice job there by Luke. Nice job there by Luke Raley. Captain says we're at 120 likes, 80 more to 200. Nice job there by Luke Raley with that single. Next up is J.P. Crawford. First pitch by J.P. Fouls that one behind the plate. 0-1 count. Single in the 4th and a run for JP today. 211 average, 5 home runs, 14 ribbies for JP. One of the more patient players on the team. In the box. Oh, 1 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Cody Bolton to J.P. Crawford. One pitch, hard hit ball by J.P. Crawford, deep left field, all the way back to the wall. Go, 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 Raley, go, go, Raley, go, go, Raley, go, go. And Raley with the speed and the hustle comes home, and a big RBI double there by J.P. Crawford. And that's what hustle gives you. Luke Raley with that speed, and I love it. Great job there by J.P. Crawford. And Luke Raley with the speed, and just like that, 8-3 Mariners. That's what I like to see. No one's going to hustle more than Luke Raley on the team. And I love guys that hustle. I love guys that show that extra effort. Nice job, Luke. 8-3 Mariners. So there's 1 run that we gave up with Castillo being in 2. Now we need 1 more. And hopefully we can get it, either in this inning or next inning. But now it's 8-3 with a runner at second with no outs. We might be able to get to double digits. We might be able to get to 10 and beyond, especially if we can continue raking here in the 8th and the 9th. Hold no prisoners, right? When we play the Astros, we'll let up for anybody. let alone them. And after losing yesterday, we need payback. 0-1 pitch. And Canzone with a little blooper in deep left field. That is caught, and that is 1 away. Zach Cole with that catch. Next up is Mitch Garver. Let's go, Mitch. First pitch fouled off there by Garv. Sinker 94 miles an hour, high and inside. 0-1 count. 1 for 2 with 2 runs, 2 RBIs, and a walk. And a big 2-run blast early in the game for Mitch Garver. 0-1 pitch to Garv. High and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Mitch Garver. Cody Bolton on the mound, Mitch Garver in the box. So they said the last time that Garver had a multi-homer game was in Wrigley Field in Chicago last season. So, I mean, you don't expect Mitch to get too many, under 10 home runs typically, maybe maxing out at 15 if he gets on a nice little rally and whatnot. But usually, within 8 to 15 home runs is usually where Mitch is at. 2-1 pitch, hard hit ball, deep left field. All the way back to the warning track. It's caught. And that is 2 away. Next up in the 9-hole, second baseman Cole Clutch Young. Kind of a weird setup they have there in Houston, out there in the outfield. Definitely a lot of room for mistakes to happen when you have a stadium that's built that way. TJ in the building, what's good? Joe in the building, what's good? But that little area back there that they're showing footage right now with the dugout, that's just weird, the way that stadium is built like that. 1-0 pitch, high and away. Good out there by Cole Young. 2 balls and no strikes from Cody Bolton to Cole Young with the runner at second with 2 outs. Top of the 8th inning, 8-3 Mariners. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. .20 pitch. Popped up and out of play. Cutter 89 miles an hour by Cody Bolton. 2 balls and 1 strike to Cole Young. Let's go, Cole. Bolton on the mound, Young in the box. .21 pitch to Young, high and away. Good patience there by Cole. 3 balls and 1 strike to Cole Young. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. .31 pitch to Young. Takes a strike right down the middle. 4-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Bolton to Young, and Brendan Donovan is on deck. He's got a triple, a double, and a single so far today for Donnie. 3-2 pitch, high and away, and that's going to be a walk for Cole Young. Let's go, Donnie. You're a home run away from the cycle. Double, triple, single. That would be kind of the exclamation point if Donnie gets the cycle here and hits a home run. And it would put us over, double digits. It would put us at 11. Not to get greedy, But again, anytime that you can end up beating a team that just beat you, no holds barred, no prisoners, we're going to go crazy. And, you want to make sure you take advantage in any given moment you can. So Mariners to hit the cycle, Buhner in 93, A-Rod in 97, and then they had 2 other players after that since the graphic just got taken down. But we've had 4 players go for the cycle, so not very many. First pitch in there to Donnie for a strike, 0-1 count. But it's great to see Donnie, not just go 1 for 5 or 0 for 5. He's been a little shaky since coming back from the injury. Not as bad as Cal Raleigh, of course, but, this is the first big game he's had. 0-1 pitch, popped it up into shallow right field, and that is Cam Smith, and that is out number 3. So no cycle for Brandon Donovan, but hey, we ended up scoring another run, so we'll take that. Great hustle out of Luke Raley, and that is out number 3. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 8th inning and see who's up next here for the Astros. Next up for the Astros, 2 for 2 with 2 runs, an RBI, and a base on ball, DHing Yordan Alvarez, who had the home run early in the game on Castillo in the bottom of the 3rd, and that was really the only big mistake that he had prior to, Dan Wilson letting him stay in after he got to pitch 104 and then went to pitch 108, and then we already know what happens there. Shoemake doubled the left. Walker and Alvarez scored when we were up 7-1 to make it 7-3, but at least we made up for one of those runs with the J.P. Crawford double to center and Luke Raley with speed scoring moments ago, making it 8-3. So that kind of softens the blow on Dan Wilson's stupidity at least a little bit. Come on, Dan, be better. All right, 43 subs to go to 24,100. We're approaching 6 million views on the channel. We just gained another sub since the last commercial break. Thank you so much. 42 subs to go to 24,100. We're at 17 on the Dono train, 83 to go. And let's see if we can get to 150 likes before this one is over. We got 217 people in the room, so we just need a few more. We're at 122. We need 28 more. If we can get 28 people, that'll get us to 150. That'll be a good rounded off number since we're kind of closing in here at the end of the game. Probably not going to be able to get to 200 like yesterday, but we should be able to get to 150. Daniel in the building, what's good? All right, Domingo Gonzalez coming in. First pitch to Yordan Alvarez from Domingo Gonzalez, who made his MLB debut recently, now coming in here in the 8th. First pitch, low and away, slider 85 miles an hour to Yordan Alvarez. 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch. In there for a strike, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike with nobody on and no outs. Bottom of the 8th inning, 8-3 Mariners. Trident's up. Let's go M's. One pitch, high and away. 4-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour there by Domingo Gonzalez. 2 balls and 1 strike to Yordan Alvarez. 2-1 pitch, low and at the knees. Come on, Domingo. 3-1 pitch, popped up and out of play. So Johnny Pereda recalled from AAA. Jose Ferrer is off the paternity list. Cal's on the 10-day IL, and Josh Simpson is back on AAA. 3-2 pitch. And a hard hit ball up the middle there by Yordan Alvarez that goes in between center and right field. And Yordan is going to get a stand-up double. Nice base knock there by Yordan Alvarez. And we have traded Jose Suarez to the Athletics for cash. And we obviously know how bad Jose Suarez was from the Braves when he came in. So we're not going to miss him one bit. Next up in the 4-hole, third baseman Isaac Paredes. Nice double there from Yordan Alvarez, who's been absolutely electric, like Matt Olson, Munetaka Murakami, Aaron Judge, Ben Rice, and a few others. Astros are one of the worst teams in baseball this year, but, there's been a lot of injuries, no Carlos Correa, no Jeremy Pena, no Hader, their closer, and their pitching has been very bad. So, again, hard to win games when you have injuries and you can't rely on your pitching, starters, or bullpen. And again, we have issues on our end, sometimes with Castillo, Mooney, and some of the guys in the pen, but we're ranked 4th in the pen, even with all of our mistakes, which is kind of crazy. It shows like how much worse a lot of the other teams are, and we're top 10 as far as our starters, even with Luis Castillo. So, but the Astros have definitely gone through more issues than us, and that obviously reflects their 17-27 record. 1-2 pitch, check swing, low and away. And that is strike 3. He goes around. We'll take that, and that is 1 away. But it definitely feels like it's going to come down to, maybe 3 teams, the Athletics, the Rangers, and the Mariners, for top dog. And we assume the Angels will be able to be 4th over the Astros unless the Astros can get healthy and figure out their issues with injuries and pitching mistakes and woes and everything. But, feels like the Angels will probably be in 4th, Astros 5th, and then it'll be a 3-team race between the Rangers, the Mariners, and the Athletics for the top spot this year. And good to see the A's, make a big jump. They have a lot of talent, and it was just a matter of time before they started competing, with Seattle. And then you knew at one point or another, with the Rangers and the Astros, they both weren't going to be at the top forever. Eventually one of those teams would have scaled back a little bit, and it looks like it's Houston. 0-1 pitch, big strike looking high and away. No balls and 2 strikes from Domingo Gonzalez to Christian Walker. But again, sometimes when you end up playing, teams that are bad, you can play down to the competition like we do when we play the A's, the Angels, and the Royals. And then we play up to the competition like when we play the Braves, and we got the Padres next. So I'm not afraid of the Padres. I'm looking forward to the challenge. And I honestly do think that we can win 2 out of 3, at home to make up for the sweep that we ended up getting in San Diego a few weeks ago. Bottom of the 8th, runner at second with 1 out. Mariners up by 5 runs, 8-3. Domingo Gonzalez on the mound. Christian Walker in the box with a 0-2 count. Little dribbler towards third base. Donnie is there. Throw to first, and that is 2 away. Just take it one game at a time. Pretty soon we'll be at 500 and then above 500. But again, you only got 3 teams, Yankees, Rays and Guardians that are usually a couple games above 500, and everyone else is, at 500 or a couple games below or much below, like the Astros. So there still is a, great opportunity for the Mariners to win the division and have a good record before it's all said and done. Little dribbler, throw to Naylor from Cole Young, toe tap on the bag, and that is out number 3. All right, let's go to the top of the 9th inning and see if we can add on another run or 2 here in the top of the 9th. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 4 with 2 Ks. DHing today, Julio Rodriguez. Batting second, 0 for 3 with a base on ball and 2 Ks. First baseman Nails, Josh Naylor. And batting third, 0 for 3 with a run, base on ball, and a K, left fielder Randy Orosarena. I mean, when's the last time that we put up 8 runs and Julio, Naylor, and Randy are 0 for 9? We have to be very blessed that those three guys are 0 for 9 based on how good they've been, and we're still putting up 8 runs today. Thankful for Donnie, thankful for Rayleigh, and thankful for Mitch Garver, as well as Cole Young and JP Crawford. And we know that Rayleigh's got that hustle, baby. Let's go. And we'll go over the stats after the game is over as well. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. 42 subs to go to 24,100. All right, we're at 130 likes. We need 20 more to get to 150. No, not doing an NFL schedule release stream. I might have been, doing that in the past, a few years, back and whatnot, but I'll watch it on my own time, and I'm going to spend time with the pup after, obviously, this game ends and go on a long victory walk. And, the only usually NFL things that I'll do outside of the games is the NFL draft, usually for a day or two, depending on the Mariners schedule. But as far as like schedule release, I typically will not do a stream for that, even though it is exciting to quite a few NFL fans. First pitch popped up there by Julio, and that is 1 away. Next up is Josh Naylor. On deck is Randy Arozarena. But great to be able to see Donnie having a game like he did early in the year when he was the best hitter on the team with Cole Young. And that was obviously when Julio, Naylor, and Cal were struggling in the first 10 games of the season. If we didn't have Cole Young and Donnie, who knows what our record would be right now. It wouldn't be a couple games below 500. It would be a lot worse. So, again, nice to be able to see Donnie get hot, especially since Cal just hit the IL today. And hopefully that, right side will get healed up because we're going to need Cal for the long run. Mariners fielding percentage is 5th. So our defense is locked in, baby. 0-1 pitch, takes a strike looking low and away. No balls and 2 strikes from Cody Bolton to Josh Naylor. 0-2 pitch, Naylor gets a hold of one. And it is fair. Go, Naylor, go. And that is a stand-up double there by Josh Naylor. Nice job, Josh, to prevent yourself going 0 for 4 like Julio did. There we go. But again, when you normally get a player that plays in center field and then you DH him, usually you don't get good numbers. And Julio proved that here today. But with Naylor, nice job, fighting that pitch low and away and pulling that obviously into left field. Great job there by Josh Naylor, a master at hitting. Next up is Randy Arozarena, who's been hot as of late. Let's see if he can get off the schneid as well. Come on, Randy. First pitch, takes a sweeper, high and inside, 0-1 count. Oh-1 pitch, high and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike to Randy Arozarena. 7 hits in game 1, 11 hits in game 2, 8 hits yesterday, and another 11 spot here today. And that's how you take advantage of a team that's pitching poorly, that has injuries. 1-1 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and 1 strike to Randy Arozarena. Two-one pitch, low and away. Count now is 3 balls and 1 strike to Randy Arozarena. But the other reason that we put up an 8 is because we didn't go against left-handed pitching. And usually that's what happens when Castillo starts. Going in before this start, 5 out of his 8 starts, we've only put up 2 runs or less. So it's like if he's giving up 4 to 8 normally, and then you only score 2, you're not winning. And again, it's nice that we actually went against a righty today, so that way we were able to take advantage even early in the matchup with Luke Raley with that 3-run blast. We go against a left-handed pitcher. That means that Ref Snyder and Joe are in, maybe even with Rivas and Garver, and maybe we're down, at this point, and we're, going to lose this game. So we have to be kind of thankful that the Astros had a righty scheduled rather than a lefty, because even a lefty with an ERA of 10 seems like the Mariners still have a hard time getting the job done. So. And again, when you can have Canzone and Raley and Donnie in the lineup and no Leo Rivas, that definitely helps too. So now we got runners at first and second for Luke Raley. First pitch, low and at the knees to Luke Raley, 1-0 count. Runners at first and second with 1 out. It would be really nice if we could get to double digits before this game is over. I mean, we don't need to get greedy, but again, we do have runners at first and second. If we could end up getting a big RBI here or, kind of an unexpected home run, that would be awesome. Kind of an exclamation point based on making up for yesterday. And again, we're going to be playing the Padres next, so we want to make sure that, we're feeling good. And Dan Wilson kind of took that feeling away from Castillo, but, he still needs to be able to hang his head high. It's his best start of the year, even though, you ended up going out of the game kind of on a low note. 2-0 pitch. Hard hit ball, deep right field. Oh, big catch out there by Cam Smith. And Naylor will tag up and get to third. And if they didn't have a capable right fielder, that could have scored a run or two. And that is 2 away. Nice hit there by Luke Raley, even though it was caught. Out there in deep right field, at least Naylor was able to tag. Next up is J.P. Crawford. Good day today, 2 for 4 with a run and an RBI. If we can get an RBI single here to make it 9-3, that would be great. Best case scenario, he hits a 3-run bomb to make it 11-3. Come on, JP. First pitch fouled off by Crawford right down the middle, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch to Crawford, high and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike from Bolton to Crawford. One pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 1 strike from Bolton to Crawford. Nice job today, Mariners. Throw to first. And Randy is safe. Two-one pitch in there for a strike, looking to JP, high and away, cutter 89 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes to JP Crawford. Two-two pitch to JP, high and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to JP Crawford. Still got to make up a run, for the other run that was given up, though, by Castillo. So 3-2 pitch, and that is strike 3 looking, and down goes JP. JP is going to challenge, it looks like. All right, let's see if JP is going to win this challenge or not. It's going to be close. And that is strike 3. That is the end of the Mariners there. And it's one thing if, you're just wanting to get more and there's nobody on, but when you have a couple guys on, obviously there's always a chance to add on a little bit more. All right, let's go to the bottom of the ninth inning. We're up by 5 runs, so we feel pretty good about that as long as we don't have an epic meltdown, which we have seen from Mooney and a few of the guys in the pen this year, but it looks like we should have enough to win this game, you would think. Next up in the 7 hole, 0 for 3 with a K, center fielder Bryce Matthews. Batting second in the 8 hole, right fielder Cam Smith. And batting third in the 9 hole, 0 for 2 with a walk, catcher Cesar Salazar. And I'm curious on who they're going to bring out here. So we went with Castillo, Davila, and Gonzalez. And then obviously they just went with Burrows and Bolton because obviously they're struggling with their pitchers and whatnot. So they didn't want to use anybody else besides Bolton. Let's go to the bottom of the 9th inning, 8-3 Seattle. All right, 41 subs to go to 24,100. Gained another during the commercial break. Appreciate you. I got 237 in the room. We're at 137. We need 13 likes to get to 150. Can we get there? And I wonder if they're going to keep Domingo Gonzalez out there. All right, they still got Gonzalez out there here in the 9th. First pitch is high and away, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and no strikes to Bryce Matthews. 2-0 pitch, low and away. 3 balls and no strikes to Domingo Gonzalez to Bryce Matthews. Three-0 pitch. Gets the bottom of the strike zone. Three balls and 1 strike to Bryce Matthews. 3-1 pitch, slow dribbler towards third. Donnie is there, throw to first to Naylor, and that is 1 away. Nice job there by Brendan Donovan. Let's go, Domingo, finish strong. First pitch from Gonzalez to Smith, and there for a strike, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, fouled off towards first base. No balls and 2 strikes from Domingo Gonzalez to Cam Smith. Come on, Domingo, finish. Bottom of the 9th inning, 8-3 Mariners. 0-2 pitch to Cam Smith. Little dribbler towards third. Donnie is busy. Throw it to first. And that is 2 away. Just feels great when you have a capable third baseman that can hit and defend. Rivas can defend, but he can't hit. Nice job there by Donnie, getting the job done again here today, offensively and defensively. A double, a triple, and a single today by Donnie. Next up, in the 9-hole, catcher Cesar Salazar. Lay down. Daddy will get you a snack in a second, okay? Lay down. Lay down. First pitch is high and away, four-seam fastball, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, low and away, slider 84 miles an hour there by Domingo Gonzalez. 2 balls and no strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. 2-0 pitch, gets the strike high and away. 2 balls and 1 strike with nobody on and 2 outs, bottom of the 9th, 8-3 Mariners. Two 2-1 pitch, popped up and out of play. Two balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs, bottom of the 9th, 8-3 Seattle. Ten more likes to get to 150. Come on, Domingo, finish. 2-2 pitch. Popped up. And out of play. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Domingo Gonzalez to Cesar Salazar. And then we fly home from Houston as soon as this game ends. And then we're going to have the Padres on a 3-game set at home at T-Mobile. And I'm very excited about that. I think it could go very similar to that Braves series where we really played well. 2-2 pitch, popped up, and another ball out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. Bottom of the 9th inning, 8-3 Mariners. Trident's up. Let's go M's. 2-2 pitch to Salazar. And Garver is challenging. Let's see, are we out of challenges? I think we are. All right, count now is 3 balls and 2 strikes from Gonzalez to Salazar. We are out of challenges there, so. 3-2 pitch from Gonzalez, and that ends up being a walk to Salazar. Come on, Domingo. Next up is left fielder Zach Cole. First pitch, big swing and a miss, high and away, 0-1 count. Four-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour by Domingo Gonzalez. 0-1 pitch, low and at the knees, change up 86 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike to Zach Cole. Come on, Mariners, finish. Feels like this game has been kind of dragged out a little bit. You know, after Dan Wilson did not take Castillo out, it's been a little bit of a grind here the last couple innings, but 1-1 pitch fouled off right down the middle, out of play. Four-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour there by Domingo Gonzalez, but we are on the brink of winning 3 out of 4 and winning against the Astros again after losing a heartbreaker yesterday, so it feels good to go out on top. 1-2 pitch. And that is strike 3. And that is the ball game, baby. Let's go. Nice job there by Domingo Gonzalez getting that last out. And then that is the ball game. Final score, Mariners 8, Astros 3. And when the Mariners win, what do? We fucking dance. Mariners win. Mariners win. Mariners win. Fuck yeah. Let's go. Now let's go over the stat line real quick for both teams. All right, we'll start it off with the Astros. Zach Cole, 0 for 5. Jose Altuve, 0 for 4, which is rare. Yordan Alvarez had a great game, 3 for 3 with a home run and an RBI and 2 runs. Isak Paredes, 0 for 3. Christian Walker, 0 for 3 with a run. Braden Shoemake was the one that got the big one on Castillo before he exited. 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs when he was on pitch 104 and ended at 108. Bryce Matthews, 0 for 4. Cam Smith, 0 for 4. And Cesar Salazar, 0 for 2. And then on the flip side, let's go with the Mariners. We got Brandon Donovan, 3 for 5. A double, triple, and a single. 1 home run away from the cycle. Great job with a very solid game by Donnie. Julio Rodriguez at DH doesn't usually ever work, and he goes 0 for 5. Josh Naylor, 1 for 4. Randy Arozarena, 0 for 3 with a run. Luke Raley got the party started, 2 for 5 with a 3-run jack in the first inning with a home run and 2 RBIs. Great job by Luke. JP Crawford with a good game as well, 2 for 5 with a run and an RBI. Dominic Canzone, 1 for 4 with a run. Mitch Garver with a great game, 1 for 3 with 2 runs, a home run, and 2 RBIs. Great job by Mitch. And Cole Young having a good game as well, 1 for 3 with a 2 RBI game. And Luis Castillo, even though he ended up kind of going out of the game on kind of a low note, best game of the year for him, right? 5.2 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 6 Ks, 108 pitches, 65 strikes. ERA is 6.34, which is still too high, but at the end of the day, him, Nick Davila, and Davila ended up going 1.1 with giving up just a walk. And then we finished it off with Domingo Gonzalez going for 2 solid innings. And Domingo, 2 innings pitched, 1 hit, and 2 Ks, 1 walk, and no earned runs. So everything was by Luis. But again, we found a way to get the job done. And, when you have a pitcher that's a liability and then you can put up 8 runs for him and he only gives up 3, because we said at the beginning of the broadcast, if he gives up 3 or less and we get to 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits, we should have a chance to be able to compete. And we get the job done and we win the series 3 out of 4 games. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Well, I love you guys and I appreciate you guys very, very much. Final score, Mariners 8, Astros 3. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll be back tomorrow when we play the Padres for a 3-game set on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Come through and enjoy the party. And I got one question for you. Who talk sports like us? Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. Trident's up and go Mariners.